Welcome back to the program. 936-2626 is the telephone number. Hope that you guys are prepared mentally for the next segment, because this was something that was very, very difficult to watch. I guess I should give all of you a trigger warning. If you're easily upset by things, then you may not want to watch this part of this show. There was an assault yesterday at John Gray High School. And let me tell you, I was actually doing a birthday lunch. I'm still catching up, folks, with some people who were not available to do a birthday lunch with me. When I started getting this particular video, I got a video a couple days ago with some young girls primarily who were, I can't even play that one because the song has a lot of profanity in it. They're John Gray students. And there they were, like, throwing up these symbols. I don't know what these symbols are supposed to mean. I guess it's like gang-related symbols. They think they're cool, whatever. And then the lyrics to the song, which is what they were like all getting into, was disgusting and deplorable. As parents, y'all allowing your children to be exposed to any and everything, and you're not reading it in. You have no clue what's going on. You're giving these kids smartphones, Snapchat, access to all sorts of stuff that's really getting your kids in trouble. As an aside, did y'all see this guy who's in court right now, this Travis Ebanks, for raping a 10-year-old child that he met on Snapchat? Parents, I don't personally know why a 10-year-old child needs to have a phone, a smartphone. Not in my household, honey child. It just isn't going to happen. 15, 16, maybe, but you need proper supervision. And most of you parents barely know how to use a smartphone yourselves. The phone is smarter than you, and your kids are smarter than you, and it is a recipe for disaster. I say that because the phones and access to technology is one of the major contributors to the assaults that we see happening at John Gray. Now, I'm going to talk about John Gray, but this applies to all schools in the Cayman Islands. But we have to recognize that there is a specific problem that is happening at John Gray that, quite frankly, is not happening at other schools. You have to ask yourself, why is that? What is it that is different and unique about John Gray? Now, I know the teachers at John Gray, the administrators, the PTA, they're going to be all upset and all in their feelings, right? But I'm telling you, there is something in the water at John Gray. There's a different level of aggression and stupidity than you see at other schools. And you don't have to like it here today, folks, but you're going to get a real extra dose of the cold, hard truth. Let's put this in historical context, first of all, before I show you the video. Leroy says, this has been happening at John Gray High School for years. Those of you who've gone to John Gray High School, I didn't go to high school or middle school or anything here. I left when I was, I think, just in the 4th grade, right? From Georgetown Primary. So I can't speak to any direct knowledge of how long these types of instances have been occurring. But from all accounts, it seems like this is really nothing new. The fact that people can say, I don't know when Leroy was in high school, but I'm sure it wasn't yesterday. The fact that people can say, oh yeah, you know, this has been going on forever. What is wrong with us that we cannot address the level of violence that is happening with our young people? It's only getting worse. And it's getting worse now because of technology. And one of the driving forces behind this is, just as you see, these kids want to be able to record this, and they have all of these social media accounts. And parents, I need y'all to listen to me very, very carefully, because you seem unaware of what is happening. They have these social media accounts, these Instagram accounts that they set up that are meant to be fight club accounts. And they have these fights, and then they upload them to these accounts, and they're getting social media clout. And that is what a lot of this is all about. Some of the kids reach out to me on a regular basis and they report it to me. They're like, Sandy, this account got taken down, but now they've created another one. They've created another one. Let me repeat it again. There's nobody to blame for that aspect of it, because we got a lot of blame to go around here today. We're going to talk about the school, the minister, the Department of Education, and the ministry. But you parents, let's start with the parents first and foremost. As parents, you have a responsibility to your children, and you need to stop giving them technology that you know nothing about, you do not know how to use, and that is detrimental to the well-being of your children. Why do your children need these smartphones? To do what exactly? They're certainly not doing homework on it, I can tell you that much. So if they're using them as tools to harass other students, to create all these accounts, y'all don't even know what they're doing. You don't know how many burner accounts they have, how many email accounts they're setting up, how they're harassing, they're using telecom, right, to harass other children in schools, just like that young lady, Chelsea, the other day. You know, some of you got upset because, Sandy had to put her in her place. Well, you know what is so interesting is when this young lady decided to join my live stream, I never told her to join my live stream. She decided she could jump on, and I said, oh, you want to be an adult? I'm going to treat you like one today. Some of you are like, oh my God. No. This girl had been trying to taunt me. I'd even reached out to the police and said, please warn this young lady that I am not her companion. And I don't know what her parents allow her to do in her household, but you don't walk up to adults, whether it's on social media or in real life, and think you can talk to them any kind of way and they're not going to respond to you. So she was back and forth and doing it. And I just sat there and took it. And I said, okay, I ain't going to take it no more. Don't be gasping when I have to finally put somebody in their place. Take your mobile phones, these mobile phones from these children. You all are contributing to the problem, parents. Get them an old-fashioned, you need to call them, get them one of them old-fashioned phones where you can call them and find out exactly where they're at if you're not keeping tabs on your kids. No need for it. And you'll see in this video, this entire assault was a complete setup with these little boys, and it is not the first time. So that's my first bone that I have to pick, is with you parents. It's ridiculous. It is unbelievable that you guys are allowing your children to just roam the streets, roam social media with no regard for what it is that they are actually doing. And they're doing a lot of harm to each other, a lot of mental and psychological harm. The level of harassment, the parents that have reached out to me. And you know, when I speak to some of these parents whose kids are bullies, I mean, back in the day, we've all probably been subjected to some degree. Either you were a bully or you were being bullied, right? So we know back in the old days, but at least when you went home, you got a break from the bully. They didn't dare call you an old-fashioned phone and try and bully you because your mom is going to be like, who's that on the phone? Hang up the phone. You could take the phone off the ringer. Now they're WhatsApping each other. They're on Instagram. They're creating all these videos. They've got Snapchat. They've got TikTok. They have all these other means of continuing and sustaining the bullying that they can carry out on your child. And if y'all want to talk about mental health of your children, right? And how they're suffering from depression and they're suffering from all this stuff, the number one thing you need to do to help your child is take away the phones now. Every single parent listening to me now, if your child is 15 and under, take away their phone. And as a matter of fact, 16 and under, take away the phone. As a matter of fact, if they ain't got a job to pay for the phone, take it away. Good morning, caller.
How are you doing, Sandy, today?
I'm a little bit annoyed. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, it's a good topic. Sandy. Yes. You know, what I saw on Sunday on Public Beach, this race. so much kids, 14, 13, 15, 14, that age group, using drugs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the parents got to be more careful what the kids are doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm begging the police on the bottom of my heart to patrol the beaches.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Patrol the beaches on the weekends when they are free. It's so sad.
Yeah.
I'm 55 years old, and it's so sad, you know, that I see them kids out there. You know, it was broken my heart, you know. That's all I got to say today.
Thank you.
Begging the police.
I appreciate it.
Begging the police to patrol.
Thank you, caller.
Welcome.
Parents, y'all have a job. You decided to have children, or you accidentally had children, because I know some of y'all don't put any thought into this. I don't know which it was for you. But once they're here, you have a job to do. And you can't just allow your children to roam worse than animals and to wreak havoc on this community. It's not fair to the rest of us. It's not fair to those of us who are actually trying our best to be good and decent parents and raise these young people into good and decent adults. We should not have to tolerate it. You're little monsters. Get them under control. All right, let me show you this video. And like I said, if you're easily triggered, you do not want to watch this video. I received it so many times yesterday, and it physically made me sick. Like I said, I was at my birthday lunch. I just had lunch, and I felt physically sick to my stomach when I saw this. And the Lord Jesus would have to know that this could not have been my child yesterday, because today I would be sitting at Fairbanks, because I would have found those two little boys and given them a dose of their own medicine. Now, I do not advocate violence. Trust me, I try to take a nonviolent approach with a lot of things. But as a mother, when I saw this video yesterday, to see someone take their foot and kick your child in their head, you don't know how angry that made me. But what I'm going to say today is, despite how we're feeling as a community after seeing this video, right? We need to direct that anger in a positive way. And I have some solutions that I've been preaching about since 2019 that have been falling on deaf ears, falling on the deaf ears of the school, of the politicians, of the administrators. Everybody seems to be asleep at the wheel, including you parents. Pay attention. So let me just pause it right here, right? We see that someone in the background is recording the video. Now, they've arrested the two men in the fight, not men, boys in this fight. They also need to arrest the person who is videoing it as well. They are part of this. They're there. Listen to me. Let's just watch the video. Oh damn. So we thank you, Kevin, for doing some post-production on this video for me. Kevin had to go and bleep out all that. It was the BBC word, all kind of stuff thrown in there for good measure. Listen to me, folks. When I tell you that this video made me angry, that's an understatement. I'm telling you. If this was my child, I don't know that I could have had a whole lot of restraint. Those little boys need to be put in jail. Now, I know some of y'all are like, oh, don't put them in jail. You're going to ruin their lives. Ruin their lives for 15 minutes to protect them in the future. Because if they're doing this at the age of 15, you talking about you worried about ruining their lives? If you don't show them that there are consequences, and I mean serious consequences when you assault someone, and have the audacity to record it and start sending it around, how do you think this recording got out? The recorder sent it around. These kids are sending it around and sharing it with each other. And y'all talking about, oh, let's not go too hard on them. You have got to be kidding me. They're lucky that this mother and the father of this child, and by the way, this child is a nephew of Charles Whitaker. They're lucky that he not on island too. Because somebody would have done thumped these little boys down in West Bay. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, Sandy. Dexter here. I watched that with tears in my eyes. I mean, these kids are not kids anymore. They're animals.
Don't insult animals. Don't insult animals. Don't exactly. Don't insult animals.
Wouldn't do that unless he was protecting himself.
Exactly.
But you know, it boils down to the parents.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, everyone. There was a guy, I think he had on a red shirt up in the corner. He must have knew what was going on. He had been arrested as well. And everyone that was in that room should be arrested and charged because they knew what was going on. You know, it is really sad when our schools got this ghetto mentality. Not the schools, but these kids have this this ghetto mentality. It is sad. What the hell is the man becoming?
Not becoming. What have we already become?
Yeah. Why aren't more people speaking out about this? We should demand that the schools are one of the safest places in the world. But no, it don't seem that way. I mean, I know the teachers and the security guards can't be every place because it's obvious that they had to set up the way that one signal the other one, and that was the beginning of it. You know, I remember when my son Chris was going to the high school. I think it was John Gray High School. He was being bullied by two brothers. They're well known, they're well respected, and they're friends of mine now. And he came home. We would give him money to buy his lunch and his snacks, and he would come home hungry. And he was afraid to tell me. I said, Chris, tell Dad what is wrong. And he told me. I went to the school principal and nothing was done. I did it twice. And I said, you know what? If nothing was done about this, I'm going to make sure that they know where they stand with me. I said, Chris, I know you're scared because you don't want them to bully you anymore. You don't want them to bully you, but what I'm doing, they're not going to bully you anymore. I said, point out to me the two brothers that was bullying you. And he pointed out the two brothers, and I went up to him. Oh, hi, Mr. Dexter. How are you? You're Chris's dad? I said, yes, I'm Chris's dad. And I thought I would be talking to a man, but I'm talking to a little boy. Now, if you wanted to be treated like a man, you continue with my son, bullying him, taking away his food. We would give him an apple, and they would just take one bite out of it and throw it down. And he was very passive about, he didn't want no problems. And I told him, I said, you can bet. I went to the principal twice about you all. Nothing was done. Now if you want to be treated like a man, you continue with messing with my son. Until parents, I don't know if I would ever done it, but I put the fear of God in their life. When I went up, they were so scared, they were shaking. People have said that's very cruel. You should have spoke to their parents. No, no child should be bullying another one. It's really sad, and that the Cayman Islands has become what it has become. And to talk about outside influence, I don't care what kind of influence it got from outside. Don't change because somebody brings their culture to our country. Don't change. Be a Caymanian that I've known for years. if I sound like I'm beside myself when I saw that.
Thank you.
And if it's anything you need me to sign,
Well, I'm
I will sign it.
gonna give some solutions today. Like I said, I've been talking about this issue since 2019, specific to John Gray, and still nothing seems to be working. So I'm gonna reiterate some of those, and I got some new ideas that this government, the elected officials, need to pay attention to. Thank you, caller.
And if there's a petition, don't be afraid to call me.
I think we're past that stage now of petitioning. We need to do something else.
All right,
Stay
Sandy.
tuned.
Thank you for being the voice of the people.
Thank you, Mr. Dexter. Appreciate it.
Okay, bye.
There comes a point in time, folks, where quite honestly, your response has to meet in an appropriate way what has happened. What these children did yesterday morning should not be, this is not a joke. They could have killed that child with that kick to the head. And I don't know if they don't realize that, if they don't care. But we now need to send a message, not just to these young men who set this up, but we need to send a message to their parents. That's why I want to know who they are. I'm looking for names. I'm looking for names of parents. And we need to send a message to all of the young people at John Gray High School. Listen to me this morning, folks. We need to lock that school down. You know what their response was? Poor Mr. Murray. Mr. Murray, I love you with all of my heart. His response was, let's pray. These children, let me not try and offend the religious crowd, but this is beyond prayer now. Y'all can pray, but we need some real effective action. We need police presence at that school. They should have had it there this morning in every single corner. None of your students should be able to walk around John Gray High School this morning without seeing a police officer or a security guard. They should feel like they're all being escorted to their classes. You see, these children don't understand this Mickey Mouse foolishness that y'all are doing as parents. Oh, let's pray about it. Yeah, they gonna sit down there and hold hands and kumbaya. And 2 minutes later, they out there cursing the most words that you've ever heard. BBC this, BBC that, blah, 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 and willing to fight each other for social media clout. Y'all have lost the plot. You do not understand what these young people are up to. You need to meet them where they are. And that means that you need to send a very clear message that we have had enough. John Gray High School has had enough. The Department of Education has had enough. The ministry has had enough. The community has had enough. Every single parent that has had a child assaulted has had enough. When is that going to be the appropriate response? You see, the Department of Education Services, they sent out a press release. What time did that come out? Let me tell y'all something now, because these people, they're trifling. They're jokers. They sent out a press release, but oh yeah, they're taking this seriously. Let me tell you how seriously they took it. Their press release came out at 4:55 p.m. We posted this on social media. Let me tell you the time now, because they're claiming that they're taking it serious and they're going to be proactive and blah, blah, blah. The video was posted at 3:14, and I received it so many times, and I sat there and I said, oh my God. Do I share this video or do I not? I sat on it. This happened yesterday morning when they were getting ready to go to PE after their first class. Department of Environment, what they call themselves, DES, Department of Education Services, gonna talk about the fact that they're taking this seriously and they're being proactive. And let me tell you exactly what their words are, because I have to question what it is that these people are actually doing as well. Like I said, there's a lot of blame to go around. They're asking you to entrust your children with them, but I wouldn't trust my children with them. I would not send my child to John Gray High School, you hear me? And I don't care who like it this morning. The children are saying every single day, Miss Sandy, there are 8 fights on average at that school, but most of them y'all not hear nothing about. Only this one came to light in such high fashion yesterday. But it's happening every single day. You must trust these inept people with your children only if you are crazy. I know I'm not doing it. I tell my husband, listen here, if I need to go twerk on a pole tomorrow to pay to keep my child in private school, because at least when I have a complaint, I know who I can go to and complain to. You parents who are in public schools know what I'm talking about. You go to the ministry, oh, it's not their problem, it's not them. You go to Miss Lynette, oh no, she can't help you. You go to the department, oh well, we humming and hoeing. You go to the police, oh, they're humming and hoeing too. No one is there to help you as parents. So even when you as parents are doing your job, they have the audacity to talk about they're acting swiftly. You hear what they say? Such conduct is unacceptable in their educational institutions. Really? Then why is it happening every single day? Why is it since 2019? I have been talking about this incessantly. I am sick and tired of talking about it. And nothing has changed. What have you guys done? Oh, we have an anti-bullying campaign. What the heck is this anti-bullying campaign? Sending out a little press statement saying that you have an anti-bullying campaign is not enough. This is not acting swiftly. This is not talking about maintaining a safe and nurturing environment. That's not what this is. Oh, they're taking swift and decisive action. This happened yesterday morning. You send this out almost 5 o'clock in the evening after already had went viral on social media. That is swift and decisive. That's how swift and decisive is defined. Y'all need to go back to Webster's dictionary and look up those two words again. Caller, good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I am a parent. And yes, I don't really care this morning because that parent who endured the pain yesterday, I know exactly how she feels. I know exactly what it is like to go down to John Gray High School and have to create the ghetto version of a mother.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I had an incident last year. I mean, on my birthday. Can you imagine that you are sitting in your house only to get a call from your child to say that he was ganged by 6 individuals? 6. Now, that child yesterday had who? Can you imagine what my child had to endure? Well, I don't care. I mean, people out here are blaming parents. I want to say this to some people out there that who may not even be parents, who may just be in the dark, who may just always be the lackadaisic one that, my child, listen, my child, listen to me. What these children do behind our back, we all remember when we were teenagers. Every one of us has done something mischievous. So don't put your head to say, oh, the parents not doing nothing at home. You got parents that do things, and then when these kids go out and they find friends, they turn around and they take it out on top of the parents to say, oh, my mama this, my mama that. Your mama becomes, or your parent becomes an annoying person then. And then you hear people out here, oh, you can see that she not come from a good home. Let me tell you something. I come from the ghettoest of the ghetto, if they want to say that, and I know what good life is as well. You understand? I personally was kicked out of school because of having to defend somebody and then turning around and being penalized for it because my story was not heard. So I got 7 days suspension. I got 14. Then I got a letter from the ministry to say that I got 30 and I shouldn't come back to school. Thankfully today, not because of that system, yes, there is a gap. Because you can't expect that, yes, these children are troubled. So we're going to put them in a category of being just troubled children and not try to help. We have to help because there's a thing that there's people who change. Everybody looks at me and say, oh, yeah, you're not going to be this, you're not going to be that. Thankfully today, I can walk with my head held high and I can also walk proud into John Gray High School and say to them, you fail me, but I refuse to make you fail my son. When I went to the school the morning of the fight, because my son said to me, I dropped him that morning. When I dropped him, he said he was sitting down and with his back on the table, with his back turned. So they came from back on. There was various parents, but I'm going to say this. When I say that you cannot blame parents all the time. Some of those parents, you know what? One individual as a parent said to me, because I was very adamant to reach out to every single one and find out who their mama and their dad was. And honestly, when I went down to the school, with my sneakers, tights, and t-shirt, and my hair was pulled back because I was going to beat anything and everything. I didn't care. And if the police came, when they came, he wanted to arrest me too. I said, listen, you're going to arrest me for taking up from my child. You're going to arrest me because I'm telling you to do your job. When I get into the school, the head of year is going to look at me and tell me say that they actively dealing with it. I said, actively dealing with it. I'm not leaving this compound today until it's dealt with. And if you want to call the police and tell them to escort me, I will be ready for anyone because then it's my child and my child is fatherless. You know what my child even said to me yesterday, Mommy? It's not, there's no accountability, you know, because Mommy, how could they put this out in the media when there's so many other ones? And I said to him, I not gonna put out yours.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
They only responded to this, like I said, almost 2 hours after it went up on CMR and it was going viral. Otherwise, we would have never gotten a press release. This is why I think the Department of Education, the minister and the minister are all a bunch of jokers. They're asking you as parents to trust them with your children. How can you trust them with your children when you know their MO already?
You know what? I messaged the group, and I don't care. As I said this morning, I really don't care. I want to beg the parents that came to the school to handle the situation. Unfortunately, my son was hit in his head as well. I took him to the hospital, made sure. And you know what? I was sitting in the hospital, the GP clinic. Call on a mother and a father. I don't care. Tell them I am ready to come to any one of us if they need to resolve this matter. I say, listen, don't come out no one-on-one. If Anna wanted one-on-ones, Anna would have fought my son one-on-one. But there was 6 of Anna that went for my son. Now, I am not going to sit down and say that John Gray does not have their faults and they don't have their goods. While I actively had to get involved because I called every single parent and who could find Mama I never find, I made sure and find out who they were for so that I could make sure that I had that information. That I assumed the children were for, and they said, no, that's not my child. My child was not involved in that, and blah, blah, blah. And I rectified it. Now, I got big the parents up that actually took the stand and dealt with the situation because of their child. You know what? One of the parents even said to me, Mom, she said, girl, I know you. And she said, I know you handle this very well. Because one, that's your only child. So guess what? You were going through this. I could not stand to see it, and I had to deal with it. So there are parents that go to the school and deal with the situation, but there's parents that don't care as well. But you cannot blame the parents at all costs, but you have to also put accountability. I want to touch another topic. That's the security system. Somebody needs to go in and give that security system a proper FOI request and get the information of what is going on within these schools. They say that there's not enough security. There's no enough security in that whole entire facility that needs a permanent position that helps to keep them children in line is Murray. And they do not give Murray the credit. As you saw a couple of days ago, they put a meme up with Murray on top of the roof with the child. Like, this man has been fighting for us, for these kids from the time I was in school.
Listen, I can't even believe that this is a brand new school, and I'm hearing that there's so many areas of school that don't even have CCTV footage. They don't have CCTV cameras.
Cameras on the site, and the children can't do this, and the children can't do that. I said, listen to me. The securities cannot be everywhere at once. So therefore, what we need to stop adopting is this thought process that, it's only one company. If you have a procurement for a security guard, you all need to work together. They need to hire mean security guards. They need to have them. When Warren and Murray and all of them were at that school and they had people there was fight all the time. Yes, But there was not instances that you have to look at it now and see that your child is going to be 25 years old and that video can possibly resurface. And then make that child feel as if they're not valued. But these are the things.
Okay, caller, we have a few other people on the line. We have two more. Hold on one second. Let me see who was next in line. So the person, let me see, 9316. Have you spoken already? I think you were next.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, I think somebody might have hung up. Go ahead, caller. 1110. Yes.
I agree with this caller, but I have to actually ask her a question when she stated that the parents are, maybe not all parents are at fault or the parents are trying, but do you realize, right, that parents may not be the source of the child becoming a bully, but parents are accountable because something they have
yes,
done,
we listen. We can get there. Yes,
it's the what
yes.
The aggression comes out on these children, and then they go back because some parents think that by shouting at a child, that
exactly
can resolve or solve a problem. And realistically, it's not. You're putting fear in that child, and that child is becoming aggressive. So what happens then is that he takes or she takes her aggressiveness out on someone else. But you know, the fact remains that if we want our child to be good, we have to do good. And since
and that's a big part of the problem. These children don't have any good examples. Like somebody just sent me something saying that somebody posted up online about towards the end, which we had to cut it out because there's so much expletives, right? So it probably got a little bit bleeped out. But the boy said something about, you don't say nothing about my mother again and whatever, right? So we don't know what predated this. But someone just said to me, good morning. Is she saying that because the victim told someone to basically suck your mother, he deserved to be beaten like this? This is why these kids behave the way that they are. And this, because we're raising children who don't have any conflict resolution skills. And that's why I'm very, very mindful that even what I say here today, I don't want people to think that, you need to go around beating up children who beat up your children. To me, that's a last resort, but I am sorry. When I saw that boy kick that boy in the head, to me, that he should be facing attempted murder charges today.
Yeah, I agree with that. But you got to what children need to realize as well, right? We have been taught, certain of us, I guess. And I mean, you got parents. I hear that.
Let's be honest.
For example, I heard that.
Don't beat around the bush. Don't beat around the bush. We are a violent.
You don't want me to beat around the bush. I don't have to. I can tell you.
I want you to tell like it is.
Need to resign or step down. Lily Monty needs to come out because it makes no sense to her putting herself in the keepers there. So since nobody won't call her, I'm calling it out. Okay? The child that was attacked this morning, yesterday evening, what his parents need to do is go beat those children parents. Okay? Because what happened here is it's hardcore and it's really disgusting to know that you
listen to me.
Go and defend your child out of school because the first thing the principal says, we're handling it.
Yeah, and we can't hear nothing come out of them handling it.
It makes no sense to fight fire basically, right? I don't care what. Yeah, we get insulted when someone tells us about our mother and our father. Yes, it's normal. But there's ways we can have dealt, or ways that those children can have dealt with the situation and didn't do it. And the next thing is you cannot talk to a child as a parent because the other parent want to come and beat you. You know what? I'm going to say it here today. My name is Dr. Amanda Parchment Tatum. I don't care who like it. And I'm going to say, they dare anybody touch one hair on my child. Listen to me. Not the governor, not immigration, not education department, not the premier, not the principal. No one will be able to stop me. Listen to me. It will be hell let loose. And the thing is, parents do not like to talk the truth, and they're scared and cowards. Want to come around the shelves and stop being damn cowards.
And too many parents are cloaking up these bullies themselves, right? They know what their children are doing. And instead of them dealing with the situation, they'll come out, well, it's not my child that's being the bully. They're bullying. And I said, really? I said, if it's not your child that's being the bully, go look at their messages. Take their phone from them. There's videos of them fighting in the streets in West Bay. And little old men trying to partner. And these are girls now. I didn't get to the girls yet because I don't think that they're any better. Out there doing the exact same things. A bunch of hoodlums. And the parents sitting down talking foolishness. But Dana, my child. These other people harassing and bullying her. So Caller, I agree with you. We're not painting a broad brush and saying it's every parent. There are good parents out there. Even if it's 20% of the parents that are bad parents, we got a major problem. It's really, really bad. And as much as I say, listen, I agree with that last caller. Don't touch my daughter. Don't look at her too hard because I ain't not got no sense. Right? And I've come a long way, folks. Right? From the depths of Georgetown, I come a long way. I'm a Georgetowner to 1,000% to my core. I come from ignorant people. I am willing to admit that. Every day I try my best to keep that little 20% of Sandra Hill just quiet and you stay in the corner. But the one day that I would unleash it is something like this happened to my child. I would box those little boys down. I'm telling you the God's truth. That's the one time I would gladly go to Fairbanks and sit down. They're not going to have no trial. I would say, put me in Fairbanks for a month because that's all you can give me anyway. Make me go sit down. But what I want to say is this. Let's elevate the conversation, right? Because it's easy to thump somebody down. And that is where we go when we get upset. Just like these little boys, they don't have the ability to communicate and to have disagreements and to talk it out. So I guess we need to be setting a good example to them. The thing you don't do, even in a situation like this, is you don't go box somebody down despite the fact that you want to do it. But I tell you what we need to do is we need to send a message to everyone here today, including the parents of these boys, that there are consequences for your actions. This little boy has injuries here this morning. He has a swollen eye, cut eye. Like I said, he's lucky he's alive and don't have no concussions or brain damage or anything else. He's going to have medical bills and trauma. The parents of this child need to sue the parents of the boys who assaulted them. Start holding parents responsible, because too much slackness is going on and no one is being held accountable, including the parents, including the children, and it has to stop. The school's not being held accountable. The what her name is there, Juliana O'Connor Conley, nobody's holding her accountable. Enough is enough. In fact, I'm going to read some messages that parents who have dealt with this sort of thing before had to say. I want y'all to hear this one. Caller, I know we have more than one caller on the line now. Hold on, let me see who's here. I think we got, who else do we have on the line? My apologies. Okay, we have Denny. I think you're up next.
Morning.
Morning, Denny.
I think that John Gray is a good place to send your children.
If you want them to get beat up, apparently.
No. I think John Gray is a good place to send your children. John Gray is not the problem. I'm going to try to address this from a different perspective. Unlike other schools, government must accept children. Private schools can kick you out if you give problems. So right off the bat, you see that the public schools have a disadvantage in dealing with children. However, let's just follow that logic a little bit further and say, if you kick children out of school and they don't get an education, are we just not just kicking the can down the road? I believe we are. The schools are a reflection of society. The animals that you see in school are duplicates of the animals in the home. And so if we want to address what's happening in the school, we're not going to be able to police our way out of this entirely. I'm not saying police don't have a role. The police isn't the fix. My child has been in John Gray for 3 years. And to my knowledge, never once started a fight. My child understands very clearly that no one better not call me and tell me that my child started a fight. Okay, that's rule number
Well,
one.
I don't think that would be your concern. Your concern is that you lucky your child has not been beaten up.
No. I'm going to get to that part. I'm addressing the responsibility of parents to make sure that their children understand what is right and what is wrong, what's acceptable and unacceptable. That's the point I'm addressing.
Mm.
And so the point I'm making is that nobody's going to come and tell me that my child started a fight and I'm going to go, that's just the way it is. That's not what's going to happen. You remember the video where they had that very talented guy, but engaged in very inappropriate behavior, doing the interview at John Gray, that was very sexual.
Mm-hmm.
I sat and I spoke to my child after that video and I said, let me get something straight with you. If I see you just in the proximity of any of this kind of nonsense, even if you're way off down in the background, not even participating, you're going to be in trouble. I don't want you in the vicinity of trouble. That's the point I'm making. And so parents need to take responsibility and ensure that their children behave appropriately. And when they do not, they ensure that they get the proper correction and discipline to incentivize their children to do better.
Okay.
The other point,
Mm-hmm.
that's not all I will have to say. The other point is the other side of the equation. I understand the rage that you're expressing when you say about what you would want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that. Understand this. I agree with your solution about suing, because this is now how society would be able to hold accountable parents who refuse to be responsible parents. Now, I understand that there is a degree to which children will do things despite what you say to them. But nevertheless, we cannot send the message that it's appropriate for them to go to school and do what was done in that video. And so if the parents are not going to do what needs to be done, then society needs to say, you know what? We support the parents who step forward and sue so that you really understand.
And let me say this, Danny. We do have some other callers. I want to give them an opportunity. Not only must you sue those parents, but it's time y'all start suing the Department of Education and John Gray High School too. Let me be very, very clear. The lawsuits need to flow. Lawyer up and start suing all of them. I bet you they'll start actually doing something then. Sue every single person. Danny, you're going to have to leave me there. We've got some other callers on the line. 1979, your comments so we can get to the next caller after you, please.
Good morning. I patiently waited. I listened to Danny and I heard the two young ladies that called in ahead of me. To say that I'm outraged is an understatement, and I don't have a child in the public school system. I, like you, will find alternative means of employment to ensure that I don't have to go down that road.
Mm-hmm.
But as Danny rightly said, once education is a right in this country, and if a child is cutting up in private school, the private school has the right to kick them out, and we have a responsibility to educate that child. So the public schools are at a disadvantage. Saying that to say, going back to the crux of this all, there is still no accountability. I said it yesterday, I'll say it today. There is no accountability. And like you said, until we start holding, like in the U.S., the school district would be sued. They would be sued for negligence.
Of course.
They would be sued for lack of care. Had this happened to my own child in my home,
Mm-hmm.
I would be the subject of an investigation. Where was the teacher? That wasn't something that occurred in a 15-second clip. We all saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Where was the teacher?
Yeah.
Where was the teacher?
You have locker rooms with children changing and hot spots that they know are prone to fights, and there's no security. Well, let me tell you what I was told yesterday, right? I want y'all to listen carefully to this now. Someone affiliated with John Gray and the PTA called me and said, "Oh, Miss Sandy, we wonder if you could take this video down because this really looks bad in John Gray." I said, "You must be crazy." I said, "Look bad in John Gray." I said, "Tell me something more. We've been really trying this." I said, "Well, how hard are y'all trying?" Because I've been reporting on this since 2019. Go to this article of November 2020, where I gave multiple suggestions for government to consider. The very first one on the list, no cell phones in schools. None. So they can't even control children bringing cell phones in school?
You off, since you say you're so open and you are willing to call out names, you should call out who called you from the PTA, or they need to be stepped down from the damn PTA.
I hope
let me say this much. I declined their requests, and then they went on to tell me that because I said, where were the adults? This is a sustained assault for like 2 minutes. That's enough time to kill somebody. It's a good thing those boys didn't have a weapon. Where were the adults? You know what the person said to me? The school is built to house 1,200 students, and we have over 1,300 students. We're over capacity. Hear this BS now, okay? Pay attention. We're over capacity because the school cannot refuse to take children in. I said, "Are you crazy?" And hear this. Why? Because government is hiring expats who have a right to put their children in public school.
Absolutely.
And that's why John Gray's over capacity. I said, really? Remember 2 weeks ago, I told you guys a few teachers left because they came here and they were told there's nowhere to put their kids. And that's part of their contract. That's part of a benefit, I guess, that they get is their child can be put into a government school. Well, I think it's time that government maybe revisits that. If the schools are already at capacity, how are you hiring people and giving them access to your government schools, which are already bulging? So they're admitting that they don't have the capacity at John Gray. They don't have enough security. They don't have enough teachers. They don't have enough nothing. How is that possible?
But if you don't have capacity, how do you even have the resources? I mean, in terms of
this is just, it's just pure slackness. The average number of students in each classroom is 30 per classroom. That is overcrowding by any standards in the education system. And you know, y'all need to go educate yourselves. The number one deterrent of how successful your child will be in a classroom environment is the student to teacher ratio.
Yep.
This is a fact. This is undeniable. And yet you have a government who is wasting money paying top dollar for teachers, $5,000 plus a month, building multi-million-dollar schools. And we have a ratio that is unacceptable for the success of your children and safety of your children. What sense does that make? It doesn't make any sense. This is where the educators now, this is where the so-called administrators, the so-called expert, the minister of education, right? The ministry, the department, they're the ones who are also failing your children. Because you can't set up John Gray and not give Mr. What's his name, the principal there, the resources that he needs. You can't overcrowd the school and expect for it to work efficiently. You cannot overcrowd classrooms. If y'all see the number of messages I'm getting from parents, and I want to go through some of those because I'm telling you, if you think that this is an isolated incident, you are joking. And that's why the Department of Education Services, you're not fooling me with your press release. The minister needs to be held accountable for her failures as well. She's been the minister 2 terms now, and she has failed the people of the Cayman Islands. And I say it, and I don't care whether she like it or not. Why is it that for over 3 years, we have been talking incessantly about the fights in these schools? And the minister has never, they can hold press release. If somebody fart hard in government, they won't hold a press release about that. But she's not gone and addressed the parents at the PTA. She hasn't said, let's have a special council meeting. Let's do this. Let's do that. This morning at John Gray High School, like I said, you know what they should have done? Had police force lined up, welcoming every student through that gate this morning. Their response is lackluster. It leaves a lot to be desired. I do not know what it is that they're doing. They have their heads in some fancy clouds that I don't know anything about. They're ridiculous.
I mean, if I can jump in there, I think we've gone very far in terms of time. We had the Yolanda Ford report that came out when Jesus was a boy.
Exactly. And they're not doing nothing with it.
That touched on these things. We paid, I believe it was $2 million for that report. It sat on a shelf collecting dust. Like I said, I don't have a child in the public school, but I can tell you, in my opinion, with what I'm seeing and speaking with other parents, part of the problem is, and what they've been complaining about, is the fact that there's a mix of what they consider very young children and very old children.
Yes, and we've been talking about that forever too. Now I gotta put the blame on who was education minister when that happened? Ralston Anglin and the UDP government.
I don't know.
Well, I'm telling you, because the last time we discussed it, y'all came forward and said it was Ralston, the UDP government. That was a mistake to take away the middle school system. But we've been talking about it since then. Undo it. How hard can it be? Put the middle school back. A 10-year-old child. You know, the other day I was saying to my girlfriend, she's like, oh, you know, her little one is in year 1. I said, well, hold on. This child not just 5 years old. How's she in year 1 already? I'm like, I guess that's the English system, because you're out by the time you're 15, 16 years old. You're not ready to come out, but they're going to push you out anyway. So by the time you're 10, 11 years old, you're in high school with 15 and 16-year-old kids. That's ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Overcharged, sexualized teens around 10, 11-year-old children. Y'all don't see the problem here? The government, the elected arm, now this is where they need to undo the previous mistake of another administration. It was a mistake to do it that way. And still, no, everybody's sitting back. But you know what they're waiting on? And I'm not trying to put my goat mad at nobody, but they're waiting on one of your children to get killed first. And then Juliana got to jump up and start praying like she did about the LGBT community. Y'all remember that emotion-filled prayer calling down damnation? Oh, good Lord, you know, and don't make them pass this legislation in the Legislative Assembly today. Holy God, come down. Can we get that kind of attitude for children? Can we hear that passion from the same minister, not about the LGBT community and consenting adults, but our children that we're putting at the doors of hell and damnation? That's who I want to put some effort in, not some consenting adult who gonna do whatever the heck they're gonna do. That's their life. I have business with them. Put that kind of energy in your job, woman, as Minister of Education. Fix it. Yes, ask Jesus to fix it, but you need to help fix it yourself. This is what I do not understand.
That's part of the problem. That's part of the problem. But we're all turning a blind eye to it. And for me, this is a. See
what Pat say, Education Minister, where are you? She's not gonna say nothing. Because by next week she gonna say, oh, y'all gonna forget all about this anyway.
Well,
that's what they're counting on. They're counting on y'all having short memories. And by next week, we'll be right back to where we were. Until another incident happens and another child is kicked down. And finally, when somebody loses their life, then they're going to be like, oh, let's change it back. Let's put the middle school back finally. Let's do this. Let's do that. These children need your help. Y'all need to step up. Just last week, they were at UCCI fighting. Girls fighting at UCCI. We're trying to educate our children. We're trying to give them opportunities. But you know what y'all want to sit down and talk about? Let's be very, very honest here. To gain political points, y'all want to sit down and talk about immigration. Oh, there's too many people in the camp. Now this and that. Who gonna be taking those jobs if your children are such hoodlums that they can't even finish and come out of school properly? Who's gonna be prepared to take those jobs that you're claiming the expats shouldn't have in this country? You can't put the cart before the horse. It is easy political points to pick on immigration and pick on the expat population. What is not easy to say to you, the people, is that our people are not even ready. A lot of our people are not ready. Not all. A lot of them are not ready. They don't have the right work ethic. They don't have the right attitude, and they don't have the credentials or anything else to go with it. But nobody wants to tell you that. No elected official wants to tell you that, because when they tell you that, they have to look you in the eye and say, are you ready? They have to ask you the question, have you done what you needed to do to hold jobs in this country? No. It's easy pickings, low-hanging fruit to blame everybody else for our problems. The expats are our problems. They're the one overcrowding the Cayman Islands. We're not willing to accept our role and responsibility in all of this. And that's what I'm saying. Each and every individual now has to step up to the plate. We cannot continue to fail our children as parents, as school teachers, as school leaders, as administrators. Look at what's happening at Prospect Primary. Has the minister made any statement about that? Not a blasted word. The week before, I told y'all about Clifton Hunter. You know what a parent sent me yesterday? Let's talk the truth and shame the devil this morning. Hold on, caller. Let me just get this message now. They said, Sandy, the Department of Environment sent out this, the Department of Education Services, right? Sent out this message claiming that the AC problem at Clifton Hunter has been fixed. People, I'm here to tell you this morning that they are a bunch of liars with a capital L. But you see, they do these things to placate we the people. And we sit back and we accept the baloney on a daily basis and do not question them. This is what this parent said to me yesterday. Let me try and find the message here now. Hold on one second. Clifton Hunter. They said that the AC problem still isn't fixed. Hear this now, right? Air conditioning still not fixed. It works off and on. The children still burn up in heat. They even named all the different sections. Now, you know, I don't know nothing about Clifton Hunter, but hold on. Let me try and see if I can tell y'all exactly what they said about all these different sections now. Right? Oh, this area is not working, Miss Sandy. That area is not working. I said, but what do you mean? DES just said that it was fixed after I put them on blast. They say they're a bunch of liars. And I tend to believe it. They say, please, don't let this issue go. Clifton Hunter children still suffering. Children with allergies still sitting there suffering every single day. No air conditioning. And I said, but I don't even understand why you guys are not speaking out. This is the other problem. You all sit back and make your children suffer physically, psychologically, all this kind of stuff from people that claim that they care about your children and they're going to keep your children safe. I wouldn't trust them with Zeus, much less my child. And y'all know I love Zeus, so he not going to be trusted with everybody. Don't trust these people. They tell you one thing, they're doing something else. It don't make no sense. Caller, I think we have another caller too. Morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandra. You better cool down. What you're saying is all right, but cool down because you're gonna get your pressure so high. Please, please. I know what it is because I have high blood pressure. But listen to me, and you out there, listen to me. We do not need half of the government that we do have. We overstaff, and yet they call in for more. Overstaff with people that do not know what they're doing. Not all of them. And some that are educated are kept down because they're not friends of this certain politician, nor friends with the family, not friends with another politician, or that's the way Cayman go. And we know that. You know that. Make I tell you, back when my son was going to school, which is 30 something years ago now, or more, much more. It wasn't any air condition. Didn't have 3/4 of what they have now. And in this heat, we had more heat this summer and still hot than any other summer for a long, long time. And the parents not speaking up about that. Is Juliana not enjoying, and her staff not enjoying air condition? Excuse me. Talking about gay people, what part of the Bible that she is reading that she don't know? That God made us all. And he made the gay people too. So if we're going to get and talk about gay people and more interested in having big old prayers, do we remember?
I don't see them protesting for the safety of our children, though.
We have children. They might have children. You don't know what they'll turn out to be. Maybe they didn't born gay. Maybe that's the lifestyle that they're gonna choose. But I'm just begging you, please calm down. I know you want to get it across, and what you're saying is true, every word of it. And parents, don't go rowing and going on, because then they can call you uncivilized. But speak up for your children. Go to the education department in groups if you have to. We've got to get the guts. If not, them seen foreigners can take over our island because our children is not educated to take it over.
Listen, we got some serious problems. We got 15-year-olds pregnant.
Serious problem.
We have kids fighting in schools. Thank you, caller. And
Thank you, Sandra.
Appreciate it. Thank you, caller. Appreciate it. And our educators and everybody is asleep at the wheel. And people are not willing to talk about the real issues facing this country. And it's too many. Here's this one now about the air conditioning. This is just received yesterday. So my kids are saying that the AC is not cooling. So basically it's blowing air, but it's hot air. They said that a lot of kids have resorted to bringing the portable hand fans to school with them due to the classrooms being so hot. When they arrived home this afternoon, they advised me that it was so hot and uncomfortable at school today. Only the performance hall building has AC, and that's cooling, but the academics, Lady Slater, Sambolco, and Goldfield, AC doesn't seem to be cooling properly, although they said that it was fixed. You see the lies, right? So they're gonna tell you it's fixed, and y'all gonna sit back as parents and be placated for the next school year. Yeah, and nothing remains resolved. It's just too much. We have got to start holding people accountable the same way I'm telling you. Hold your children accountable from day one. Consequences. Actions have consequences. Decisions have consequences. Those boys yesterday must now feel the consequences of their actions. But you know what? The entire school should feel the consequences of what they did yesterday. And I want y'all to listen to logic here now. Yes, I'm upset and I'm passionate. Like that caller said, after this show, I'll probably have to take another blood pressure tablet. But let me tell you something. I fully understand the psychology of how you change people's behavior, especially children. They are impacted. Yeah, listen carefully. They are impacted and influenced by other peers. I don't know what kind of programs they have in this school, what kind of peer counseling and peer leaders and so forth that they have, but something is failing. The Boys to Men program, for as great as that program is not enough. They need more, and they need to take drastic remedial steps yesterday. not even today. It should have been in place already. But when you put everybody under pressure in this school to say, you know what, we're going to go into a bit of a lockdown mode. Like I said, full security lineup this morning. Everywhere you walk in the school, there's going to be a security officer or a police officer breathing down your neck. We're going to make y'all at John Gray High School, at Clifton Hunter High School, at every high school that there is a behavioral problem. We're going to make you feel uncomfortable. You're not going to be able to set up a fight like these little boys were able to do. This entire thing was staged. You see that? You see I'm looking at the camera? You see I'm telling the boy, yeah, we ready now with the camera? You're not going to be able to set this up because an officer would have been right there. And guess what? Arm them with tasers. These young boys want to think they're bad? Make them have a baton upside the head. Arm them with tasers. Because when they get in the real world and they're doing this foolishness in the streets, you think anybody can be playing with your children? And by the way, what happened to the dress codes in school? This one with the full facial hair and the beard, he looked like he a 55-year-old man already. You see, no standards. Oh, the girls can't wear earrings in their ear. They can't do this. But this boy can go around looking like this. His head looking picky, and this full head of beard, of facial hair. No standards whatsoever. Y'all better rein it in. Willie says, how can a child stand and watch or take a video with 66 likes? 66 likes. Willie, you don't understand where they're sharing these videos. This is what I'm telling you. They're creating groups and Instagram pages, and that's all they're doing. I had somebody else message me yesterday. Miss Sandy, there's an Instagram page now for the young girls as young as 12 and 13 years old, getting naked. You parents are clueless about what's going on with your children. And they're selling sex and selling nakedness and all kind of foolishness. I don't hear you praying about that, Juliana, but you better start praying too. You better add that to your prayer list. You see what I'm saying? Y'all are focused on the wrong things. And the wrong things, which you should be focused on, you're allowing to slide by you. You don't have a clue what is going on. A lot of these kids are reaching out to me, and my God, what am I to do? I can only tell you as parents, you need to lock it down. Take the phones from these children. Let me read some messages that came in from parents from yesterday. Hear what this mother had to say. Her child was assaulted. She said, when my daughter, she said, I just hope that this child gets justice. When my daughter was attacked at school a few years ago, it was all caught on camera. Even the kids who were on the lookout were caught on camera. My child was attacked from back on and was defenseless. I pressed charges and submitted the video evidence to the police. And stupid, expletive, legal department decided not to take the matter to court despite all the evidence. I was like, what? Here you know. So you can arrest people, you know. Just like those two boys are arrested, it don't mean they're going to be charged. It doesn't mean there's going to be any real consequences for their actions. Hear what this mother said. She said, yep. So the attacker walked away scot-free and then turned around and attacked another child with a textbook just a few weeks later. I said, wow, what BS? They said, yep, same thing I said. And they were talking crap about her age and that she was a first-time offender. You see what I'm talking about? Police are clueless. DPP's office is clueless. Schools are clueless. Parents are clueless. A first-time offender, that don't mean that's the first time that she's done it. That mean the first time she got caught. You've been the child. You know how many times you've done stuff before you finally get caught? It's not often that you get caught the very first time you do it. But guess what? Even if it was the first time that you did it, that is the time to send a clear and unequivocal, indisputable message that you are never going to do this again. That is the time to send a message to these young people. Because the first time they do it, the second time they do it, the third time they get more and more and more brazen with it. That's why there's such a concept, folks, as you nip it in the bud. Y'all understand what that means? You put a lot of response into it the first time that they did it. You're not gonna, oh, well, we can just give you about 50 chances. Because when they get out in the real world, folks, they're not going to be getting them kind of chances. Y'all need to shape up in the worst kind of way. Put your foot down and put it down with a degree of strength that these children know you're serious. The parents know that you're serious. And parents, you put your foot down so that the other parents know that you're serious, and so that the school administrator and everybody else, somebody needs to slap this government with a lawsuit. Before your child is killed, and you don't know whose child it's going to be, slap them with a warning shot, fire a warning shot called a lawsuit. They're claiming that they're going to keep your children safe, but they're not doing it. Mouth can say anything, as my aunt used to say. Right? When they get a lawsuit, I bet you then they're going to start doing something. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, Sandy. How are you doing?
All right there. How are you?
Yeah, I saw the video yesterday and it was very disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
Those two young men supposed to be expelled out of school.
Mm-hmm.
Them not have nothing to do with young people. Them to get deal right with big people. Send them in some school, formatory school, or lock them up for a while. All when the young man up on the ground, we see the video where the next one kick him in the neck. He could have killed the child.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Easily.
Why, Sandy, for your father, why, I mean, one son I go for John Gray, I know. It is sad. It is sad. I hope the police them take the right action and deal with it properly. That you make an example out of them. That they cannot happen again.
Thank you, caller. Appreciate it.
Okay.
This person said this morning, Miss Sandra, if there's no police at the school, see if you can get police at the school, please. Where's the police? MASH unit, did y'all have a meeting around this issue for the past 3 years to see how collectively y'all can put together a solution? Because it is a very complex issue. I'm not trying to oversimplify the issues here. And you need a complex response and a 360 response. You need counselors in the schools. You need people teaching conflict resolution, right? You need ears and eyes on the ground so that you know when stuff is going to go down, when kids are having conflict with each other. You need to nip it in the bud before it gets physical. Children need to know how to communicate with each other. I have a problem with you and you have a problem with me. Listen, we can talk about it. Even if they want to use a few choice words, you can cuss and go on all you want, but you don't touch people. You don't put your hands on people. Y'all are more offended when somebody sits down and uses profanity to express themselves than somebody who's going to punch you and beat you up. Don't y'all think there's something wrong with that? It's so funny because last week somebody was saying to me that my video I did about ungrateful people in Cayman, and there's a couple seconds where I really went off script and really told y'all about your behind and your ungratefulness. And yes, use a couple colorful words. Oh, well, Sandy, these politicians, hear them now. Hear what the person said to me last week. I almost laughed, but I just kept a straight face and try to be professionals. Oh, I'm getting a lot of heat because these politicians, they're now going to be using this against you. I said, really? Because I dropped a few bumbleclot words. They're going to be using that against me. A few BBC words. They're going to be using that against me. Okay. And these are the same politicians who have a history of beating their wives. They really want to step to me? Former premiers of this country? Former leaders of this country? Y'all really want to take, Sandy, boy, she too hot on the, she used profanity. I've used profanity, but I've never beat a woman or a man. I've never broken them by the collarbones or their arms or anything else. Y'all have the audacity of some real straight up fools. I just sat there and listened because I said, you know what, Sandy, time longer than rope. And election season coming around the corner again. And I want them to step on this program and talk any foolishness to me. Oh, well, you got out of sorts and you had this to say. Yes, I did. I was very much out of sorts. But guess what? You used to beat your wife and you broke her collarbone, and your own brother-in-law told me that, sir. You know who, sir, proper sir. Don't step to me, Naina, because I will speak the truth and shame the devil and shame you too while I'm at it. But you see how people are so easily deceived? These are the same people now trying to influence. Well, don't go on her show because, she did this video yesterday cursing. So does that mean we should have made you leader of this country? We should have made you premier because you're a wife beater and you're a cheater? Let's talk about how many people you've gotten pregnant out in the streets that you're not even supporting and claiming these children? Caller, they're not ready for the truth.
Good morning, honey child. How are you?
I'm right here. Blessed and highly favored, honey child.
Yes, my darling. Yeah. My darling, my 2 cents regarding the school system. From quite a while now, I've been saying our primary school students should not be going straight to high school to mingle with those high school kids. They had need their time to mature. And I don't know who was the brainstorm behind removing middle school, but they need to get it back.
The UDP government, and unfortunately, the minister at the time was Ralston.
Number 2, there are short of securities at that said high school with all of those children. Yes, a security should be in each locker room whilst break is out. And
I can't believe it. I can't believe that a 2-minute assault could happen and there was no adult anywhere in sight.
Nowhere in sight.
Jeez,
you understand? And where is the police officer? He's locked up in and it's
one school officer for 1,350 students.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's not gonna work.
Thank you, ma'am. It can't, because one can't be in 50 different places at the same time. That's why they should hire more securities to make sure securities are stationed in each location around the school. Some child is going to get seriously hurt. Could even get their death.
Yeah.
And
listen to me. When you look at that video yesterday, right? They could have easily broken that child's neck. And this is why none of this is funny at all.
Exactly.
And people are saying, oh, don't send them to jail, send them to boot camp. No, in the real world, a 15 and 16-year-old, if he had murdered him, would be facing murder charges. You need to let them know that the system is not here to trifle and play with you. There will be serious consequences. Now, I have no objection to also looking at a military program, which means we got paid for them to go overseas again. But let me say this much. Most of our children who we send overseas come back worse.
Thank you.
We pay a lot of money to send them into these special schools and these programs, and they do not come back one iota better for it. And I could give you numerous examples of that fact.
You know what's happening with our school system? They are adopting other countries' school system. Our school system from we were growing up was working perfectly fine. And if the white man come in with his rules and regulations and they swallow it with a big old tarpon hook at the end. And that is the main reason why our schools have turned out this way. We used to fight with you and I'm going to school, but not like this.
No. I'm not blaming the white man on this. Let me tell you something. This not got nothing to do with them because they're not the ones who having fights and stuff like this. Listen.
Change the system.
No. Let me tell you something. Well, go ask the UDP government why they merged the schools together. That ain't got nothing to do with the white people. But let me tell you something. Private schools have their issues, and listen, we've talked about their issues before. But not a single private school in this country being run by white people is having 8, 9, 10 fights a day. So we need to stop pointing the finger at white people and expatriates and point it and turn that finger around and ask what is wrong with us and what is wrong with our children.
Sandy,
I said somebody messaged me this morning. Somebody messaged me and they said, Sandy, it's the Jamaicans to blame. Because when you look at most of these children, they have Jamaican parents and this and that. Turn the finger, leave the Jamaicans, leave the white people, turn the finger around. Because even if, listen to me, Miss Ramelia, even if you have a Jamaican parent in your home right? In my household, we have one Jamaican parent and one Caymanian parent. You think I'm going to allow my child, if my husband had it in no good ways, I'm going to allow him to be in my household, carrying on his no good ways, then influence my child? Who is to blame? Take responsibility.
I totally agree.
And too many of us picking up no good men from all over the world to have children with and to breed for and then influence our children. Why are we doing that? Ask yourself the personal question.
Just like how they remove the disciplinary actions out of school and Bibles from out of school. This is the results of
My dear, we got prayers in the school. I can show you the video. They had them praying this morning. It is not helping these children, Romelia. Y'all sending your children every day to church, right? And you're making the pastors molest them and go after these young girls, and it's still not helping them. That is not the solution. You need to put your foot down. I'm not saying there's anything with prayer all you want, but you need to do something else on top of it.
Let me explain something.
Having a Bible in the schools, not doing them no good. Praying, not doing them no good. Because these little hoodlums, they sit down and they pray with you in 1 second, and you turn your back and they're fighting. You know why? Because they're witnessing too much violence in their homes.
I agree.
These are the same children. Let me be very clear, Amelia. These are the same children that their parents are beating them for every little thing that they do. We don't understand parenting. We grew up thinking that if you beat somebody and you subject them to force and violence, that will make them a better person. I'm here to tell you that is not the winning formula. So the white man come along and tell y'all, no, that not gonna work. You can't do it in schools, but y'all still doing it in your homes, and it still does not work. 99% of the people in Northward Prison came from households that believed in chastising children with the belt and with physical violence. That's not the solution. That's not where the problem lies.
Well, honey child, I can tell you what. My Bible tells me do not spare the rod and spare the
Yes,
child.
Romelia. And where in the Bible do you see the Lord Jesus Christ beating sheep? The shepherd uses a gentle rod of correction.
Stick a pin.
And you know what else? You know what also he does? Hold on. He starts from day one. He don't wait till the child is 12, 13, 14, 15 years old to try and raise the child.
Listen, didn't Jesus beat? Didn't he beat them?
Beat who?
With the whip?
Beat who? The sheep?
We need to do some Bible lessons. We need to do some Bible lessons.
Jesus beat who? The sheep?
No. When he went to the temple,
he lost his temper. Jesus lost his temper, showing that even him at that time was human and prone to anger. That was the lesson you were supposed to be taking away from that.
They were doing wrong, and he whipped them.
Romelia, that's not the lesson you're supposed to be taking away from that parable, you know.
If you do wrong, there are consequences.
There are consequences, but your consequences does not have to be physical force, because you've just taught that child.
I whip mine.
Miss Romelia, you have just taught your child. You have just taught your child that when you do something that people don't like, what you do is you hit them with physical violence. Isn't that what our children are doing now anyway? That little boy said something to insult him or did something to him that he didn't like. He doesn't know how to communicate. He doesn't know how to say, you hurt my feelings. Don't talk about my mother like that. He doesn't know how to go and get adult intervention and assistance. What he does know is you punch somebody, you kick somebody in the head, you beat somebody up, you set somebody up. That's what he knows. Where are these children learning that behavior from? They're learning it from their homes.
From the home.
They're learning it from the parents.
And I whipped. After yesterday, I whipped CC from the beat right on public.
Well, I ain't had business with you and CC, because CC is an adult. And listen to me.
I got to cut. I have to cut. I'm back. I'm about to go on tour.
All right.
I have to go. All right, darling.
Mm-hmm. You see, this is the problem, folks. Y'all have got to be willing to learn that there's a different way of doing things. And our history has demonstrated to us that we've actually gotten it wrong. And if we are not ready to accept a fundamental truth, that we have not gotten this right, not at all, when it comes to our children. People still arguing with me despite evidence upon evidence that beating your children, which is the Black person's way and the Caribbean way, does not make them into productive adults. Somebody says, well, Sandy, I turned out okay. Well, first of all, the last person you need to ask yourself whether you're okay or not is you. You know, that self-praise is no recommendation. And just because you might have a good job, you became a lawyer or a doctor or whatever, and your parents used to beat you, whatever, you might have some degree of success in life, but that don't mean that you're not dealing with emotional trauma. That don't mean that you're not a child molester. That don't mean that you don't have anger issues. We've elected premiers to this country who, I'm telling you, turned around and broke their spouse's bones. I want y'all to listen carefully to me. They broke another person's bones. And these are the very people who will sit down and tell you that they should be going to the UK and getting acknowledged and getting accolades. Are you serious? This is the duplicitousness that we are living with in this country. And y'all don't want to speak the truth. Just because I drive a fancy car and I got a big house and you will call me Lady Sandra Hill, that don't mean I'm nobody. Speak the truth. High-ranking civil servants have anger issues or wife beaters. They're not good people. They're nobody to esteem to be. Because you can put on a suit and fix up your hair and go stand up in front of people. That don't make you a good person. Because you can go to church every week and jump up and down in the pulpit or be in the choir. That does not make you a good person. So you need to pick sense from nonsense. And we need to start being honest about the dysfunctionality that we have in this country, from the top straight down to our poor little children. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, Sandy. I have just joined you. Well, I did listen to the last caller, your exchange with her, but before that, I wasn't listening. So some of what I say, you might have covered. I suspect that much of it you've covered, but let me say what I have to say. First thing, you went to law school, so you know this. The legal capacity, which you touched upon a little bit regarding children. At what point is a child legally and criminally responsible for what they do?
Yeah, parents
Section
need to be
12.
held responsible. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. The parents will need to be held responsible at a certain level, at a social level. Now, at the level of criminal responsibility in terms of being prosecuted, a child who is under 10 cannot be prosecuted for any criminal offense because they are not criminally liable. Mm-hmm. The law just says if you are under 10, you are not criminally liable for anything. You can be dealt with in a disciplinary way by the school, by the parents, and the parents are vicariously responsible in a social sense because at that stage, those are formative years. Mm-hmm. But once you achieve the age of 10 years, mm-hmm. but before you achieve the age of 14 years, that gap in there, you can be criminally responsible so long as they can show that you knew that what you were doing was wrong. When I went to law school, we studied the case. We studied the case of a kid who was about 12.
Let me just caller. Let me just pause you one quick second. So I'm cognizant of the time, and of course the show on radio will be ending in about a minute and a half. We'll continue the discussion. I know the time goes by so quickly, but we're going to continue the discussion on social media. So for the benefit of our radio listeners, if you want to click on to the social media streams, are both on Facebook and YouTube this morning. Continue, caller.
Okay, thank you. Thanks very much. So this kid stole a watch, and then they wanted to prosecute him. And when they prosecuted him, it was found that actually after he stole the watch, he hid it. And then when he was asked about the watch, he lied about it. Mm. So they said, look, you haven't reached 14 years old, but you do know from the way you have reacted that this was wrong. And that child was held criminally responsible and convicted. Mm-hmm. So the provision I'm looking at is the Cayman provision, section 12, the penal code. This is the age of responsibility. So that if you have attained the age of 14, you are 14 or above, you are criminally responsible. And I think you touched a little bit on that. You know, you are criminally responsible. They can take you to court and you can be prosecuted and get a record for doing that. I know some very cruel country which even tries people like that as adults, you know. But I think that is extreme, but still you can be tried even as a juvenile and be held responsible. But you see, let me move to the broader issue now of where this problem is. Part of it, you know, is political. We have, when you were talking about, you were talking about how this other parent, the child was beaten up, and they provided a video, and the video went to the DPP, and legal said no, they couldn't prosecute it. Now that is nonsense. Because if you
one quick point, caller. Somebody just sent me a headline out of the UK. Biggest bullying settlement ever sees California family awarded $27 million after school lets tormentors beat boy 13 to death. And killers got no jail time. You see how the system is failing all over the world?
Yeah, it's failing all over the world.
And that's an article in today's Daily Mail, by the way.
Well, I'll try to read that because I think it's very relevant to this discussion. You see, in Cayman, there's this tendency that, you provide something, say, to the DPP doesn't prosecute. And what is the remedy for people? If you write to the DPP, they say, but you see, the DPP under the Constitution cannot be subject to the control of any other person of authority. Now, that is correct. But there are other checks and balances. The DPP is supposed to do a report every year to go to Parliament to say how he has been dealing with cases from a policy standpoint. The same thing is supposed to happen with the judiciary and every ministry in government, every institution. So long as you get money from Parliament, you're supposed to do a report, and the report goes to Parliament. And in the discussion of those reports, you can get up as a member of Parliament and say, look, we are not going to tell you, DPP, who you are going to prosecute or you can't prosecute. We can't make that decision for you. But we want to find out why in case A, you prosecuted, and the case B, you didn't prosecute. Can you tell us what policy allowed you to make that distinction? That can be asked in Parliament, and I believe that the parliamentarians are not asking those questions. Now, I know a certain media house, I forget which one it is, where one person who was found with a firearm was prosecuted, then another one who was very, very rich was not prosecuted. And this particular media house reported, why are you prosecuting that one but not the other one? And they sued the administrator of that media house and went to court and said, well, we are going to have an injunction against you. I don't know if you know that media house, but I remember that media house very, very well. That is the problem, because even those people in the society who do get up and try to ask these genuine questions, even the judiciary won't say, hey, we won't get involved in this. We think people are entitled to ask, why did you prosecute this one and not the other one, to explain to us. So in a nutshell, that media house should never have been taken to court and should never have been given an injunction to say that you shouldn't do this, because there is need for this kind of checks and balances. And to me, I think the people who can do it even more effectively, perhaps, than the media plays its role. It is the politicians. They are the ones who even provide money for these departments. But in Cayman, they tend to discuss these things once a year when they are giving the money. No. When the reports are made to the Legislative Assembly, they should not just be, this is the report from the DPP. It is now laid on the table of the House. Are we going to speak to it? Oh, no, the mover says that, well, I think it's self-explanatory. And then everybody said, is it adopted? It's adopted. No. They should discuss some of these reports which relate to some issues such as violence, prosecutions, failure to prosecute, how certain people are treated in the judiciary. All these things can be discussed from a policy aspect for the purposes of checks and balances. Thank you. I don't know if I've got any other point here. No. I think those were my points. But otherwise, I think you are right on button, and I'll continue to listen.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right, folks, we're going to continue into a little bit of overtime this morning. I think our children deserve overtime. We're now officially off the radio, so we can turn up a little bit now. Let's watch the girls fighting since we're at it. Here they are. Nope. Are you dumb? Are you dumb? Are you dumb? Are you over there? Are you losing your mind? All right, folks. Those are your children who you're not sparing the rod and spoiling the child on. They're getting beat on a regular basis. Yeah. And that's how they're acting out here at school. Parents, take some responsibility. Miss Pauline saying, what on earth? This is what they're doing. An average of 8 fights a day at John Gray. Stop letting the minister get away with it. Stop letting the Department of Education Services get away with it. The schools need to take some responsibility. They're saying, well, it's not our fault. We're overcrowded. Speak up. Over 1,300 students. Somebody said John Gray been overcrowded from 2012, so that ain't nothing new. But when you have children that act like this, overcrowding is a very dangerous situation. I'm telling you, government, you're going to get sued. It's going to happen to the wrong person's child, and they're going to slap this government with a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. Let me read some more comments. This person says, I agree with Denny. They tried the no cell phone policy and it didn't work. Parents to blame. Remilia can't handle this level or that level of truth. Well, let me assure you that the so-called no cell phone policy can be enforced. When those kids come through the door, you take everything from them. They're not getting through that gate with a cell phone. There are devices you can purchase to find a cell phone signal on an individual, even if they have it hidden up their privates. If we got to do it, use technology and find the cell phone. And then they'll be sent home. Stop playing with children. Let them know, school administrators, that you're not their companion. You're there as teachers, as administrators, trying to ensure that they get something in their thick skull. Fighting in the streets. This ain't it. Are you done? This is not it. This is not what is going to help our children advance in this country. What are y'all trying to fix immigration for? When these children, you think anybody gonna hire them? You think in my company, I would go and hire any of these children? Y'all have got to be fucking crazy. I'm not giving them no jobs. What are they gonna do? Somebody don't say something at work that somebody say something they don't like, they gonna beat them up. Get it together. You can't be producing subclass workers through your educational system who can't even do the math, can't add, can't read, can't write, and then on top of that, got an attitude problem and want to beat people up. Caller. Good morning.
You know, talking about this bullying thing now and how they planning on fixing that. That been going on from I was going to school, but the thing is about it, the difference is now is that the children are not learning to stand up for themselves at the same time, not to influence bad behaviors and fighting now. And you see, when I was going to school, if you hear Mr. Murray, security officer, is telling you that they need prayer, that's a serious situation, because when I was going to school, if it was a fight kick off that I had started or anyone else had started or whoever they believe started a fight, there was an easy separation. We had respect for our adults. We wasn't going back, like back a hand at them or anything like this. The children nowadays now is almost as if they feel like they have the same powers as some of their parents. I would assume, or
they obviously think that they have more than that.
And you see those little fights that you see that they're picking on bullies. I would dare them to go and pick on their own peers when they're doing something wrong. I dare them to do that, because I guess what? It might just be a different situation then, and maybe this is the reason why the security officers know what they're talking about. Miss Sandra, there's a situation going on right now that I've noticed, because it's not like a fight anymore. These are intimidation. These are people that intimidate other students, and you know what happens with that? You might just be influencing doing something that you do not want to do.
So thank you, caller. I appreciate it.
I've been through that. So then you could say that you've never been in the principal's office for a fight. I could tell you that. And getting suspension is not.
Listen, I've been to the principal's office for a fight because I was defending myself against a boy who'd been bullying me.
Were you the aggressor?
No, I was defending myself. But you see, that little fool Mike thought that because every time he turned around and kept harassing me, I kept trying to do it the right way. And that little bitch thought that he could roll up on me. And so the day he put his hands on me, then it turned different.
Yeah.
You could say, because listen,
you imagine you being the one.
My aunt said, don't touch nobody, don't start no fights, don't start no trouble. That was my motto. But I tell you one thing, I got finish it. I got finish it.
You make the first swing.
You put your hands on me and I got finish it.
Exactly. And
I not gonna start it, but I'm going to finish it.
They should not have to tolerate bullying, Miss Sandra. They should have principals making sure that their teachers noticing all of the students that have been. You see, like how a shepherd have to watch the sheep, and if one sheep strays away, he gotta send that little dog go and get that sheep. You understand?
Listen, I don't know that I completed. I don't know if I completed this thought, so I'm gonna say it again. The peer pressure that we can put collectively on the children at that school is what needs to now be put to bear. Like I said, this morning, there should be a completely different feeling in the atmosphere at John Gray after what happened yesterday. But because our school administrators do not understand that.
Close the school down. This is a good reason to close the school down and make sure every single parent attends a PTA meeting, what they call those things, parent teacher, what a last letter supposed to mean. Yeah.
Association.
This type of thing they need to do. They think they need to do. I don't think they have that association part right though.
All right, caller. Thank you very much.
Together, they don't talk.
Let me see. I think you're trying to get on air. Hello? Yeah, you're trying to get on air? 936-2626. No, this is my personal number. Yeah, okay. Okay, 936-2626. But yeah, I mean, listen, I tell y'all trifling around. Yes, I had one fight when I was in school. And that's because Mike thought he could roll up on me and put his hands on me. And that was the day. Thank God I was wearing jeans that day. Otherwise, it would have seen something. But, I defended myself. And I defended myself like my life depended on it. So poor little Mike, when he got all scratched up and had to go to principal's office like a little PUSY and look like a little girl, and all the boys are making fun of him, he got exactly what he deserved. You don't put your hands on me just because I'm a girl. What do you think this is? You think you're the former premier of Cayman Islands, or what? That you can put your hands on girls and there's not gonna be no consequences? Not every woman can tolerate that kind of foolishness. I'll box you down. You put your fucking hands on me, you're gonna know. Caller.
Hey,
Good morning. Yes, sir.
Listen, I think that what you said is spot on. We need more police officers, but I think the police officers is a short-term band-aid to the problem.
No, I
think the
understand that.
long-term thing is that they need to expel these elements. Right now, a child cannot be expelled unless it's like dire circumstances. They need to expel these.
Yeah,
unwanted
make
elements from the
them be
school.
subjected to homeschooling.
They had to go homeschool and make the parents have to say, you know, you have to send you behind to private school. And as far as the security guards go, two things I want to think. A lot of the security guards that they hire to go into the schools now, Sandra, are old, retired men from other countries. That number two, you're only paying them what? Little over minimum wage.
They don't care. They
You
just
understand? Exactly.
they're just trying to
Why
stay
would I
out of
jump
these
into a fight?
security guards trying to stay out of harm's way. They don't care about your children.
Exactly. If you ever watch some of these security guards in the school, Sandra, you will see that a lot of them just sit down on their behind. They be on their phones. Sometimes they live there in the schools. They eat right there, and security guards are there for a reason. So give an image of security. Remember, Sandra, security is a feeling. Security is not a state of being.
Exactly.
All right.
Thank you.
They need to expel these bad elements from the school, and they also need to bring police into the school. Have a nice day.
I appreciate it. So this person says that, Sandra, it's the catchment area. It's the towners and West Bears here, you know, who bring their family and community dysfunction into the school. Speaking as both a past student and a teacher at John Gray High School, you don't see that same attitude at Clifton Hunter. So, I mean, them towners and West Bears, the worst on the island. What a hot mess. This person goes on to say, and on the rare occasion that it happened in the past at Clifton Hunter, it involves students who transferred from John Gray. It's a dysfunction that has become part and parcel of Georgetown and West Bay. What a hot mess. And they go on to talk about who on earth are these people hiring? Once again, this Seventh-day Adventist mafia that we've hired inter-school, y'all need to check that and see how effective they are with children. I'm just saying. Caller, good morning.
Yeah, hi, morning, Sandy.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, morning. I just got a few minutes. I just got the tail end of, I guess, the last caller on this issue with our children at schools. And I got to tell you, it really breaks my heart to hear what is really happening to our children, to any child, period. But I say our children because I'm referring specifically now to the Cayman product. As Caymanians, we have already a difficulty and being accepted in our own country. And this image does not help us any. And we complain about why we can't get opportunities. And I'm saddened to hear this, truly. Now, something was said earlier pertaining the government. The government was not there in the bedroom with the father and the mother to bring these children to this world. The government was not there when they were out there having their jolly fun and end up with a child, an unplanned pregnancy. We've got to stop leaning on the government for our solutions, and we have got to take personal responsibility as parents.
Yep.
And my child's behavior is a product of my behavior.
Exactly.
Your child's
like
behavior
I said,
is a product
start
of
turning that
husband's
finger
behavior.
around. But listen to me, we even have elected officials who are happy to blame other people for our problems because, as I said earlier, that is low-hanging fruit. It's easy to blame the expats.
Politicians are always looking to advance their resume. They only want to advance their resume. So one cannot put their trust in politicians to serve their personal needs. And a child, you will be charged by God how you raise that child. Now, once a child becomes of age and they go a different direction, well, that's between them and God. But we have got to stop talking about what politicians can do to help, because taking a child to school is not is not the product of the teachers, it's the product of the parents. So we come from different demographics, different cultures, different societies. And based on how a child is raised, it doesn't matter where you come from, but based on how you raise that child, they will assimilate, whether they're Indians or Pakistanis or Russians or Chinese or whatever country you come from. You raise them with a value system to assimilate, to work with other people. Yeah. Conflict resolution starts from home.
Yes.
If father
And it
and mother,
starts from a
if brother
very
and
young
sister
age as well.
Yes, and if the parents or the siblings is demonstrating behaviors, the younger children will see this and they will copy these behaviors. And my heart is broken to hear what is becoming of our future Cayman product. We already have life hard enough as it is in having to compete with outside sources. So parents, I'm speaking to you, I'm speaking to the guardians, I'm speaking to you personally. Take responsibility for yourself. Let me tell you this, Andy. My oldest child in college, she did not get a cell phone until she was 17. She had no reason for a cell phone until she got her driver's license. And I made that clear to her. There's no need for you to, and by the way, my children are homeschooled. And so I don't want to put that out there in any particular way, but I'm simply saying we have control of our child's environment. You do not need a cell phone going to school. It never was a necessity 30 years ago, 50 years ago when I was growing up. Why is it a necessity today? So when she was behind the wheel and an emergency could happen and she needed help, then she needs a cell phone. Cell phones are very destructive. You look at the effects of social media, the Instagram, the Facebooks, the TikToks, whatever's out there now. These things are influencers, not for good, but for evil. And anyway, I'm going to leave you with that. I wanted to call earlier. I couldn't get to you earlier because I was tied up with some things, but there was something pressing that I wanted to share with you, Sandy. So perhaps, I don't know, whenever I get to it, but parents, take responsibility. Stop pointing at these politicians. Stop pointing at security guards. Stop pointing at the police. Take responsibility for your children. Be a good example. Let them see Jesus in you. Then they can mitigate their issues out in public. God bless you, Sandy. Thank you.
I appreciate it. 936-2626. We're going to go into a little bit of overtime here today, folks. It's a hot mess of a situation, to be quite frank. Johan says, times have changed, sir. Cell phones are also used as tracking devices. Hashtag just saying. Listen, I think the issue with, and somebody else said, if they didn't have the cell phone in the classroom, we would not have been able to see the fight. There's some truth to that. And I myself have said in other instances, when an accident happens on the roadway and people are like, oh, well, why are people recording it? And I said, well, sometimes you need the evidence. Even the police, they can't solve a crime unless they've got CCTV footage or did somebody record it or whatever. So had we not had the benefit of that recording yesterday, we would not have seen how violent these young people are. And we would not see that they definitely need to be charged with a serious set of offenses, right? At the same time, the very fights themselves. So this is a bit of a double-edged sword. The fights are being driven by the fact that someone is there recording it. That's why you have the setup. They want to capture this on video, and they are being motivated to fight because they know that it's going to be recorded. Now, let me say something about this situation, because there's something here with this young man that I have not yet shared that is really important. Apparently, about 2 years ago, this young man got in a fight, and he was charged. The victim now I'm talking about, okay? And he was charged and convicted, and he's on 2 years probation. So y'all see him not really fighting back? It's because he thought now, because he's on probation, that he does not have a right to defend himself. I've spoken to the child's mother. That is why his response is just to cower from these bullies. Because I tell you one thing, there's always a bully bigger than you. And there's always somebody who can take you on. But I would not be cowering. You're going to take me down with me fighting for my friggin' life with this kind of foolishness. But the reason why he was not fighting is because he has been in a situation already where he got in trouble and he's trying to toe the line. And maybe these young men also knew that, and that made him an easy target. You see how the little details actually make a difference? Because let's be honest, that little skinny one right there, he should have kicked him in his fucking nuts. I bet you that would have stopped him in his blood clot boots right there. So I'm gonna tell you what my position is on this. You do not, your children don't start nothing. And I tell people, if you don't start nothing, I'm not gonna finish nothing, and we can all be good. Get your children into counseling, teach them how to communicate with each other. Do not advocate violence. But at the same time, you equip your children, put their behind in karate, and you equip them so that if somebody come at them and they got thump them down, they can dig deep and find that Georgetowner and beat the shit out of you if they need to defend themselves. I've had one fight in my life. Not too many men can look at me and lose their good senses and think they can put their hands on me, because you get warnings with me. You have a very clear message based on the energy that I'm putting out there that I'm not the kind of person that you ever want to trifle with. I had one relationship, that fool, he was stupid enough one time during a discussion to grab me by my hand and listen. My voice went like this. This is how it go. I said, excuse me. You gonna want to take your hands off of me right now. Very calm, just like this, I'm not yelling and screaming. I'm not going on like no damn fool. But I'm telling you, take your hands off of me this very second. I'm not touching you, and you shouldn't be touching me. There's no need for you to be holding my hands in an aggressive way, because I was not getting physical with you. You see, some of these men not got no sense. And after that, I said, okay, this relationship coming to an end here today, because I do not want to be in a position where I'm going to have to teach you a lesson, because that's not going to be pretty. So I've had one fight as a high schooler with Mike. Well, 1.5, because then he felt so bad after I beat him up the first time and all the little boys were making fun of him. He decided the one day I was getting off the bus, he was going to come for round 2. I said, oh, that's not going to work out too well for you. And the kids forewarned me, oh, Sandy, he said he can get you back. I said, really? Even then, schools were failing kids, because we went to the principal's office, right? Principal, oh, what are you doing in here, Sandra? You're honor student, this, not next thing. I said, well, I'm here because I defended myself against Mike, and you better do something about Mike. I've been complaining. He only had one class at me, which is biology. I had been complaining to the biology teacher about Mike for months. He had even moved Mike in the back of the classroom away from me, and Mike still carrying on with his foolishness. So the one day after a midterm exam, now I leave in class, just studied my best and did my exam. I leave in class and Mike got turned around and slapped me. I said, no, that happening today, Bobo. I boxed him the hell down. You don't put your hands on me. I'm not your companion, even as a teenager. I'm not your friend. You're not going to touch me and think you can go so. Because they were so busy, they should have suspended Mike, and they didn't do it. So Mike was still around. All the kids like, oh, Mike. Because this was the same time Mike Tyson and Robin Givens were having their problems. So, kids as kids are, yeah, Mike, you got your behind beat again by a woman. You so fool, this and that. So he felt now like he had to try and, I don't know where Mike is today, child. I don't even know if he's alive. He probably dead or in jail. He wasn't really my style. But what happened, Mike had liked me and I didn't like him. Because in high school, I wasn't allowed to have no boyfriends. So I'm not interested in you. Plus, he wasn't bringing nothing to the table. I got to be honest with you. I had liked a little white boy who did, he was in my CPR class. That's who I had liked, not Mike. Why looking at Mike for? He not had nothing to offer nobody. But anyway, I'm getting off the tail here. So, when he come at me at the bus again, listen, I'll bust your head through that friggin' window if I need to. You got to teach your children to defend themselves, because these children out here be trifling. But it should not even get to that point. Caller, good morning.
Yes, ma'am, morning.
Mm-hmm.
One little question I want to ask. Well, why? I'm sure he never get an altercation with both of them. Why two were beating him?
But that's what they do. They gang up on people because they're a bunch of cowards.
This is what I'm saying, Miss Sandra. These people are too fast. Yes, I was a child. Yes, I was in school. My mother taught us, do not pick fights. She said, do not molest people, but you have to be tough to survive. He used to tell us, do not hit a person first. Because if you hit somebody, yes, expect to get hit back. But if they hit you, don't let them get away with it. But this is why I'm telling you that people these days are too fast. Because, okay, they might have been friends, but in one of them tell the next one about their mother, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, well, you say, I mean, one can kill one too, depend on what you have, what you take, you know, to try to kill them.
But they're a bunch of cowards. They're a bunch of cowards. Because let me tell you something.
What I'm saying, there's cowards.
That little skinny one who kicked him in the head, he couldn't take that boy on by himself. I'm telling you, if he had bought it, slammed him or kicked him in the nuts, he would have been down for the count. So look at I played it again, right? Look at the little fat one now. You see how he keeps like punching him and hitting him in the body as the next one hitting him in the head? They're a bunch of cowards.
And she both of them, yes, because that's what I tell them about the boy that beat up my son in concussed. After he was concussed, he mashed up the cheekbones of my son two cheekbones of my son's face, and he got plaques in school. And I know nothing come out. It all now that happened from October last year, and DPP not call us back yet.
Oh, wow.
But what I'm saying, he was a coward because after he got concussed, sure you can kill a person, and that's what the doctors hospital had tell us, and the ones in Jamaica, and he didn't know that he didn't actually hit him with his fist because the fist couldn't do all that damage. But then the little coward tell somebody that he kicked my son in the face twice, and that's why now he be watching his back anytime he see him. And what after that, that's a coward because you can kill a person and you're not supposed to be beaten. I don't care what they got in. After a person get knocked out, you should not be beaten on them.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
And what I'm saying, like I tell you, I was in school, and yes, they used to get the thing, but then what I do, what we used to do as a friend, okay, if one of my friends get in something with a person, we make two of them fight it out. And we used to stand by and say, okay, nobody else ain't going into that because that's concern on us.
Yeah.
And then we would go in if a
well, this is what somebody just said, right? Somebody just said this. They said, listening to your show, I think we're missing the obvious gang activity and gang mentality that is occurring in schools. In addition to other measures, the police can address the issues from an anti-gang position to leverage harsher penalties for pseudo-bullying and gang activity. The police also established the anti-gang committee in 2021, but don't seem to be targeting juvenile behavior.
And then they're not school children. Listen to this. My daughter went throughout all of the schools, and I never one day, if I tell you a lie, God do make me move from this spot. I never one day had thank God for Jesus, and I never one day had to go to nothing for her. I went one time for my son to Savannah, and that was the reason why it wasn't him. And the boys told me when they called the two mothers, Miss Esther dead and gone, but it was for her little son that she raised Travis, but they were people. And why he went in, because it was him, Travis and one boy, but then two other boys jumped in. And that's why he jumped in, because he said, Ma, I wasn't going to make him beat Travis. And the boy that Travis and him had the problem, told me, Michelle, Ma, Julian wasn't in this, but he jumped in for friend. And then I even tell him, I said, well, I agree with that because on his friends and you were trying to protect him. But that's the only time, and I tell you, I thank Jesus that I not going to ball out there. And I got one little grandbaby in Savannah, and I hope that she don't have to. But let me tell you, but some of them kids, you know, but they need to be sent to Admiral Fargo in St. Pete. I bet they would pop them out because they're not school children. They what I call it.
But you know, somebody else mentioned sending these kids to like military style schools and stuff like that, right? Which would be a cost to the government. But here's my thing about it. You can't just randomly, unless you take control of the child through the court system, you can't just send these children overseas like that. The parents would have to agree to that. How many of these parents you think agree to that?
Then throw them out. Well, you said this waste animals, they're warriors and whatever. Don't accept them in school amongst other kids. Then if they're tyrants and they want to kill people, well, then they shouldn't have to go to school. Teach them from home or whatever, make them go out and be dummies and just be warriors. Send them to
Thank you, caller.
Put them on the battalion, whatever. I bet you if they were Honduras, they wouldn't go away with all of that. Well, I tell you, but it's different days in the cities. The last days, God soon comes to his wicked world. All us better get ready. If you don't want to get burned in hellfire and get jugged with that big fork.
Yep. Thank you, caller. I appreciate it.
Because everything different now.
Yeah. What a mess. Let me just see here now. Thank you, caller, again. Okay, let me show y'all another video that I received a couple days ago. And again, these children just started school. This is just the beginning of the school year, and this is the foolishness that they're going on with. If you identify any of your girls in this video, parents, I'm telling you, put your foot down with your children. You need to rein your children in. Okay, look at this one now. I couldn't play this one on air because poor Kevin, he wouldn't be able to remove all the expletives because then you wouldn't hear the music, none at all. Look at the video they just put together.
And we be vibing, classy bitch, but they know I be outside with it. 100 deep in the session, we be wildin'. Won't catch me playing with no broke nigga, that's shy. West G-Way, these hoes can't fuck with me. West G-Way, these hoes can't fuck with me. West G-Way, these hoes can't fuck with me. It be the bomb man hoe that's pressed for me.
Who are these children?
With my twin, we be vibing. Classy bitch, but they know I be outside with it. 100 deep in the session, we be wildin'. Won't catch me playing with.
This one got toothbrush in his mouth. You're brushing your teeth at school these days?
We be wildin'. Won't catch me playing with no broke nigga, that's shy. G-Way, these hoes can't fuck with me. Won't catch me playing with no broke nigga, that's shy. G-Way, these hoes can't fuck with me. G-Way, these hoes can't fuck with me. G-Way, these hoes can't fuck with me. It be the bomb man hoe that's pressed for me.
I don't even know who the hell sings that. Shooting the bird. This is your
with
children.
My twin, we be vibing.
Y'all see where the problem
Classy bitch, but they know I be outside with it. 100 deep in the session, we be wildin'. Won't catch me playing with no broke nigga, that's shy. G-Way, these hoes can't fuck with me. G-Way, these hoes can't fuck with me. G-Way, these hoes can't fuck with me. It be the bomb man hoe that's pressed for me.
Look at social media clout, right? Want to get likes, want to get accolades, want to get attention. And this is the future. Okay, man, this is what these kids are doing. Y'all, what? I don't even know who the hell sings this song, much less how to do these symbols and throw up the birds and all kind of stuff. I wonder, y'all see these girls now. How many parents, right, are going to go and pull up their children who are in this video after today's show? I'm sure some of y'all recognizing these faces. Some of them kind of look familiar too. Like I probably know their parents. What y'all gonna do? Y'all gonna do anything with these children? There, like I said, there's a lot of blame to be going around. Poor Rena says we're doomed. Marshall says, so now you're wondering why they're pregnant at 14 and 15. This is it right here. What a future, says Leroy. Right? This is it. This is what we're steaming to. This is K-Man children walk around with cell phones and recording this foolishness to then put on social media to get a little pat on the back from people who don't care nothing about them or their future. What I'm saying is that same energy, the same, peer pressure, if you will, that these young people are being subjected to do something negative, we have got to turn it around. This is ridiculous. Let me read a few more comments before I start to wrap up, because I do have an interview that I need to go to at 1 o'clock today. So hear this one now. This person says, good morning, Sandy. That video made me sick and I cried. My son's eye got popped out by an older John Gray High School student, and I know how this child's parents must be hurting because they had to hide that boy from me because I was going to take matters into my own hands that day. That little guy was only suspended for 4 days, and why was it not more? She said that because 5 days he would be expelled, and I said, and if that's what it takes, then let it be. And she's saying because HD is from Jamaica, because he is from Jamaica, he would not get into any schools here. I told her that we're importing inter-islands and yourself, something is missing here, is one. So I expect nothing more. Oh, saying that to the teacher. Okay. Why John Gray High School don't have any space is the PR system. Remember when government gets PR, when someone gets PR, their children can be put in government school. So the schools are overcrowded. Rolston would not allow his child to go there. He must have been drunk when he was there. Lord have mercy. Listen to me, folks. This is a serious problem. Now, this is where I would say, when we talk about things like the PR system and immigration, y'all have to understand the implications of not having adequate provisions, including space in our classrooms. If y'all have to halt the PR and the issuing of PRs and statuses or whatever in order to ensure that you're not overpopulating the school system, then you better try and do that. You can't be giving out when someone is, let me put it as bluntly as I possibly can. When someone is applying for PR, residency status, whatever, and they put on their application, they've got children of school age. The next question should be, if you are granted PR, where will those children be going to school? Because we do not have any space in our public school system at the moment. So if you can't afford, and not just afford, but don't have an acceptance letter from a private school, from private institutions, that is going to give you negative points on the PR system. That's how that should be working, if you ask me. Because we don't have the capacity. Now, let me show you how stupid governments can be. We don't have the capacity yet. This minister, Cayman Braca, is talking about Cayman Brac needs this brand new high school with gymnasium and this facility and that facility. What for? How many? They're not going to overcrowd in Cayman Brac unless we can start sending kids there to go to school. How many children are at Lehman Scott, whatever, high school? How many children are going there? They don't have no overcrowding in the Brac. Why do they need this big time school, which is going to cost millions upon millions of dollars? This is going to be like the facility in the Brac that was built that all now doesn't get used for anything. People don't even know what it's for. It literally sits there. It's a government owned facility. It sits there empty. Yeah. With AC running 24/7, 365. This is what happens. And I hate to say it because not a Bracker is going to be upset with me. We elect 2 people from the BRAC because they want to be special. We got 2 people. They always have to get a ministry because otherwise the BRAC can feel, oh, they're being left out. Okay. Y'all need to be sweeping them sand yards a little bit more and listen to what I'm about to say. You got your minister. And of course, you're going to try and look at her for her people. They're going to probably end up naming the school after her. Yeah. Because that's what they like, all these accolades and whatever. But what's the business case for building a school in Cayman Brac? Right now, they have an urgent need for the babies, like not even elementary school, but preschools. They'd be better putting a couple preschools in place on the Brac. Is there some kind of baby boom other than the 15-year-olds having babies in the Brac? Is there some other kind of baby boom that we don't know anything about? So we're getting a big time school, 2 workers accommodation buildings, not even Grand Cayman got that. High school with a gymnasium, sports courts, fencing. All of this for how many people? Is the population in Cayman Brac growing? Y'all need to help me understand what the business case is for this multi-million-dollar facility in Cayman Brac when we not got no space here. And we need to find a solution for the children in Grand Cayman. Consider the implications of the population growth on our school system. Stop hiring foreign teachers. They shouldn't be your first preference. And if they are, then you have to tell them you can't put your child in a government school. That benefit is no longer available to you. You'll have to put them in private school, and that $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 you're making off of government, you'll have to take some of that and pay for private school education. We brought teachers. I told you all this 2 weeks ago. From Jamaica, hired them, gave them contracts, and they came here ready to start, and then heard, oh, we don't have no space for your kids, and they had to turn back and return back to Jamaica. Department of Education Services has not told you all that. That's something they're hiding from the public. They're not talking about what shortages that has created in the education system or nothing of the sort. They need to stop it. Tell me they're trying to protect people, children. They're a bunch of liars. All right, let me see now. That's an unbelievable comment. Let me see what else. All right, this person says, morning. Well, some of the teachers aren't setting a good example either. Because how can a teacher say to a student, are you retarded, in front of the whole class? That is bullying also. Teachers now, pay attention. The parent of that child is my best friend, and I'm not sure she would want to speak on it. She met with the school and the teacher. He apologized to the child. And it appears that the teacher is known to have said it to other kids before. The school be covering it up because they don't want the school to continue to get a bad name. That's why they were like fools were calling me yesterday, talking about I must take down this video. Let me be very, very clear to y'all. Don't ever pick up your phone and call me about removing anything off of our platform. Facebook and Meta can take it down, but I will turn around and put it on my website, and nobody don't tell me what to put on my website. You understand me? We need to see what's happening at John Gray. To hell with you and your so-called concern about John Gray's reputation. Your reputation done in the dogs. You've got a beautiful facility and you're still leaving a whole lot to be desired. Focus on fixing your reputation, not the fact that when your reputation is being exposed, the truth is being exposed, that we're sharing it to the public. So don't call me. Don't pick up the phone and call me with your foolishness, because the next time I might not be so nice. They go on to say the school be covering it up because they don't want the school to continue. They don't want the school to continue to get a bad name, because when those girls were harassing my daughter, a teacher said, we don't need this on Mall Road. You can imagine. Well, what did you do about it? How did you stop Chelsea from harassing the same children? Y'all wasn't doing nothing. Well, yesterday, it was my understanding that an individual from the PTA purchased a pregnancy test for a student to take at the school because the girl felt she was pregnant. I was so disgusted by that. Boy, I tell you, this is where it's at today. Oh my God. Wow. Lord Jesus. My God. This person said that AC at Clifton Hunter has been an issue since their child was there. And that's about 5 years and counting. Lord Jesus. Is that school even 5 years old? What a hot mess. Somebody. So where's Mike today? Let's call him. Like I said, I don't remember what his last name was, but I don't suspect he jail or dead. That's my predictions with Mike. I don't think he amounted to much of anything else. This person says, girl, I love you this morning. Thank you. Appreciate it. So the schools used to take the phones, and the rule was that the phones would be kept by the school for the term. Parents made us think about it, and that was discontinued. Parents, y'all see where y'all are to blame? Stop sending, even if you have a phone, stop sending to school with these phones. But the school administrators and the ministry, they don't have no testicular fortitude. This person says, facts, preach it. Faith without work is dead. Do the work. God help the ones that step up. Step the hell up. Yes. Man, this is why I always love you. You speak the facts. I appreciate it. This person was sending messages to another parent named Sandy, and so they deleted the message. Okay. This is the low one now who is the one beating. Let me see. Is the one in the video? And what is he doing in this video? Vaping? That's the same little one that was in the fight or what? Okay. And who is he for? Who are these hoodlums for? I really want to know who they is, you know? Boy, I'm telling you. Listen to me. Mother, if you need some help with a lawsuit on these parents, you believe me, you just call me. Oh, he's the one with the beard. He looked like he grew a beard pretty quickly. So here he is vaping, looks like. I don't even know what that thing is. And recording that. These kids. His parents better rein him in real quick because he gonna be a little criminal in this country. See him there? Now he has a full beard. Wow. Boy, I tell you, these kids special. Iron Lion says our slack and failed immigration policies are coming home to roost and touching every area of our lives. Now it's hit our schools. Time to fix it. Iron Lion, I hate to tell you, but slackness is not just in immigration. It's in our homes. And that's really where the biggest problem lies. So let me be very clear. Again, we have to take some personal accountability. You want to know about the slackness? Caymanians marrying any and everything and having children with them. And nobody wants to do the child rearing. That's where the real slackness comes in. Thank you for his Instagram account. I appreciate it. I'll go look him up and see what else he's doing. Oh my God. It's ridiculous. Wow. This one says the generation of today is way different than when I was going to school back in the day. That was 30 years ago. When I was going to school, my mama told me that if anyone beat me up and I come home and tell her about it, she would carry me back to the school, beat me in front of them, and then turn around and beat the child and the parents as well. And from them, nobody didn't try and mess with me after that. This person says, but the government pays for security in batches, to my understanding. So it's a collective fault. Government paying for service and being shorted, or security center is no longer contracted to secure the schools as well. I don't know where they're getting security from, to be honest. I have no idea. Somebody says, morning, Miss Sandra, good program, but the music as well is to blame. How is the music to blame when it's the parents that are making the kids listen to this music? I don't even know anything about that song. I don't listen to Cardi B. Like if it's something a little bit more mainstream that might be on the radio, I guess I might hear it. But you know, Cardi B is a different kind of person. She's not really my cup of tea. If you want children to act like Cardi B and go on like her, then you have them listen to her music. I don't know what right thinking parent thinks that probably anything that Cardi B puts out is appropriate music. This person says that my son ended with severe anxiety and depression disorder and is in counseling for years because of bullying at a private school here from Native children because he was an expat child. The school swept it under the rug because I was too afraid to make more noise because I was an expat and he's on medication. Each psychologist appointment was $140 out of my pocket for something someone else's child did. So they said, read my comment, it's happening even in the private schools. But what is not happening in the private schools, I want to be very clear about what I said. I didn't say bullying is not happening in private schools. I said the physical violence and fighting up to 8, 10, 12 fights a day, that is not happening in private schools because they would expel those boys. So, and girls. So maybe there's different forms of bullying which can have psychological impacts. I'm not saying that. We've already talked about Cayman Prep and their ridiculousness and their racism that they can't get a hold of because the teachers don't seem to understand even what racism is. They themselves are racist, some of them. And again, they be over there cussing Mall Road, well, Mall Road this and Mall Road that. We're just pointing out, Cayman Prep, that y'all have some serious colorism issues and racist issues in your school. And a lot of Black local kids, and I guess this person's saying expat kids too, are being subjected to certain types of behavior at these private schools. And it didn't just start today. I have a cousin talking about going to Catholic and how they were treated differently because they were the Black Georgetowners. These are things that have been happening for a very, very long time. And it's up to the schools to set the tone of what will be accepted and what will not be acceptable. And they need to put their foot down. There's some horrible things going on over at Prep. Trust me, I've heard the stories. I know a young lady, she's probably about 30 years old now. She showed me her yearbook from Catholic. So you do the math from when she was there. And these little kids, she's half Caymanian, half Jamaican. The father's Jamaican, but very fair-skinned, beautiful young lady. And these kids are writing her book, but oh yeah, you're Jamaican yardie and this and that. And I mean, very derogatory things. I'm like, I would have burnt that yearbook. First of all, nobody wasn't signing my yearbook unless you and I were friends. And if you were bullying me in school, you didn't get the privilege of signing my yearbook. So I don't even know how these people signed her yearbook. I was like, y'all do things differently in Cayman. I'm like, y'all kind of stupid with some of the stuff that you do. Why would these people be writing your yearbook with all this negativity for you to hang on to? But it demonstrated from years ago where the problem lied and what was going on. And these things are very damaging to young people. But once again, when you see things going on, you see cliquish behavior in these schools, you see children being ostracized and picked on. And trust me, it's not just the Caymanian students. It's not just some expats because they're dark skinned, because it's a lot of, I mean, I have even had a parent, they came here with financial means and whatever. And because the child was like the last in and nobody really knew her in high school, another high school here, she was bullied to the point where the parents sent her back to the States to private school. After a year, she couldn't last. Parents have got to be willing folks to step up to the plate and make sure that you're there for your kids and that you defend your children. So I'm very sorry that that happened to your child. And yes, there's, like I said, foolishness that's happening in private schools. But what I'm telling you that's not happening is the kind of outrageous violence that we're seeing. I've never seen a video like this, these fight videos coming from private school. You know why? Because when you're paying $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month, I don't know what they're paying, to keep your child in a private school, your child know you better not fuck up, because you get expelled from that school. Where you going? Even them rich parents, I'm sure, will be telling them, you don't go to this school and get kicked out. This person says, let me see now, the dress code. Okay, dating back to 2018, which they're not enforcing. So in the school dress code, it clearly states that boys' hair is to be cut low. So it's obvious that the school itself isn't making sure that their policy is being adhered to. I swear some of these boys don't even comb their hair. Girls wear fake nails and long braids as well. Yep. Oh, they issued another statement today. John Gray High School senior leadership had said the following: poor them. Dear John Gray High School parents, we hope this message finds you well, really. We wanted to provide you with a brief update on the recent event at our school and emphasize the importance of reinforcing socially appropriate behavior among our students. Lord Jesus. We'd like to inform you that the school administration has taken swift and decisive action. You copied the exact words from the DES statement. You couldn't even think of something else. John Gray leadership. What a mess. They need to go back to English 101. Anyway, hold on. Let me tell you what else they had to say. So yeah, swift and decisive, that's the term of the day, folks. Make sure you know what it means, because I suspect that they actually don't know what it means. But anywho, Let me read it on this other screen over here. All right. So now they're claiming swift and decisive action in response to the incident of assault that occurred on September 13th. Can we hear what the swift and decisive action actually is? Then they go on to say our top priority is to ensure the safety and well-being of our students and staff. Rest assured that appropriate measures have been implemented to address this. What appropriate measures? Give us specifics because we want to know. What have you done? You see, this is it. They send out these fool messages and nobody says, well, what are the swift and decisive action? What's the appropriate measures that have now been implemented? As a parent, if my child was at John Gray, I would be demanding to know. What have you done differently? What can I expect to see that has changed? In the past 3 years, nothing has changed. So what are you doing this time around? Security guards are only allowed to report offenses. They don't have a baton, and the parents will be the ones who would go to assault them if they use force against the kids. Oh my God. This person says, listening to the show, as I mentioned before on your previous post that was deleted, I think that was Facebook that might have taken it down, a behavior juvenile correction center must be put in place with a merit system. The merit system will measure and monitor the progress of the students. And at that time, they'll be allowed back into the schools to participate and socialize with the normal student body regularly. This should be done with or without the parents' consent. And this should have been implemented years ago. I don't know, boy. All the politicians asleep, and I hear one of them speaking out about it. Where are they at? Why haven't they called and had anything to say? I mean, if you can call and defend churches and do all this other stuff, surely you have an opinion in this situation which impacts our children. This person says suspension is not the answer. That only gives the boys time for even more misdirection. Force them to be identified and place an escort with them while they are forced in classes. Why is it necessary to have two separate government schools on the very same compound? Discrimination. The solution to that is to combine the two schools and bring them together under one administration. There can always be more classes and forms, as is now Form 3A, B, C, D, and extend to the Form 3Z if necessary. I don't know anything about those forms. I have no clue what that means. Abilities can be identified and rewarded by academic progress only and no other reason. Yeah, I just got that message. Thanks for sharing it. What a mess, folks. You know, I feel like we're just talking about this again. And I don't know. I honestly don't know. If y'all don't get it together, in 5-10 years, we're going to be having a very different conversation. Probably not even going to take that long. Johan says the inside sources and leaks that CMR gets every day is the only reason why we understand what is happening in the civil service and CIG. Marshall says that's the problem with the education department, too much covering up, talking about removing the video. Our desires for years has been ignored. We're at the desperation time now, says Cameron. Jerry, good morning. Do they even have counselors in the schools anymore? Lord Jesus. Same with John Gray. My son has to carry a portable fan because certain classes are hot. Jonathan says those who are concerned about illusions and public relation perspectives over and above substance and the real solution are not worthy of being given the privilege of responsibility for education or anything else. Unfortunately, Jonathan, that's exactly where we're at on all fronts. Haley says from 2004, John Gray's been picking and starting fights. I went to Catholic and they used to throw rocks at us. Wow. Kids would run across our field with security following them. One time a boy threw a live firecracker into the library. Mm-hmm. My God. What a mess. Wow. Unbelievable. Michelle says, can't make your child listen to anything. They're exposed to all genres of music on the radio or from anywhere else, such as a school. I don't understand that, Michelle. I dictate what radio station I'm listening to in my car. My child does not have a car. She doesn't drive, and she doesn't select the music that we listen to in the car. I don't have a radio in my house, so she's not going to be listening to no radio that way. She's not going to get a mobile phone to be tuned into Cardi B. And the schools shouldn't be allowing any form of radio in the schools, including mobile devices. So where's she getting Cardi B music from? Listen to me. I had an aunt who was way too strict. She took strictness to a whole other level. But I suppose at the end of the day, she felt like that is what she needed to do. Y'all can't tell me that you can't control what your children listen to, because I lived in a household where everything I did, if she could have controlled my very thoughts, she would have done it. Sometimes I'd be looking at her and she's like, don't you look at me that way because I know what you're thinking. And I'm like, okay. But parents are now saying that their children are listening to music no matter what they do. I'm not so sure I'm quite understanding it. Elan Groove says private school kids who are problematic are serially suspended, expelled, and the well-off parents just pull them out and move them to another. Well, they're not moving them to another in Cayman in this day and age, honey child, because there's no waiting space anywhere else. All these private schools are filled to capacity. So I'm sure those parents tell their kids, you screw up at that school, you're behind, can't go anywhere else. You're going to be off island is where you're going to be. Maybe they can send them to boarding school. I don't know. But they're not sending them nowhere else in Cayman because they got years worth of waiting lists. And these schools also, when they find out why you're no longer at a particular school, you're not getting into their school either. Tracy says they can have 10 fights at school in one day. And if you don't post it, the parents will never know what's going on. If you don't post it, John Gray High School doesn't even send out a letter. And this is where I'm talking about now. The school administrators and stuff need to have some accountability. So all of a sudden today, y'all can send out messages and this email and that email, hoeing and humming about, the safety of your children. What about the other days since school started that there've been fights every single day and y'all never said anything about it? That's what I'm saying to parents. Don't be fooled by these people. They're not doing the best job when their primary concern is, just don't make it end up on Mall Road, because then we're going to look bad. You should be trying to fix the problem and not worried about whether or not it ends up on Mall Road. It's just too ridiculous. This person says, morning, Sandy. So sad about the amount. So sad about the amount of Gray students That same video these bullies laughed and used to embarrass the young man will come back to haunt them in a few years. That same young man will remind them of that. When you think about it, this is why the young man says something about his mom, and then he was able to arrange with a friend to gang him. There clearly seems to have been bulking against the young man, building, I think is supposed to say, against the young man that may have made him lash out in the first place. No excuse. So I'm not sure exactly what that means. But I think that just because he said it doesn't even mean that it's true. I've seen other kids. There was one at Kimana Bay. That young man got seriously injured, who was attacked. And it wasn't even the kid who, there's some kind of mistaken identity. They were beating up the wrong kid entirely. And he got some serious injuries. So, I mean, yes, the aggressor said something at the end about, oh, don't say something about my mother, whatever. But we don't know if there's any truth to that. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, hi, Sandy. I forgot to share something with you and your listening audience. I'm sure you're familiar with the Yolanda Ford report, the 2006 criminalization report that she did.
Yep. Yeah. Seems like the government wasted money on that report because they certainly haven't acted on it.
Right, and that was a big cry as well back then. But my mind goes back to when I hear you continue to share about some of these issues. I would encourage the listening audience to please take a moment and to try to research that. Maybe, Sandy, you can get a copy of it and you can post it somewhere for them. But read through that Yolanda Ford report, 2006, well put together research and reported on. And she did a number of interviews with prison inmates. She was talking about the causes of recidivism, why people go to jail and within a short matter of time being released, they're back in jail again. But if parents would read that, these are the children, these are the precious little souls that are struggling in their schools. They would see that this is where these children will end up if parents don't take control. Sandy, listen, this report that Yolanda Ford put together very clearly outlines and details that these problems started from home, from the home. These young men and young women were talking about seeing their fathers beating up on their mothers drunk. They were always out to parties, smoking marijuana, doing drugs in the presence of these children. And so here we have this perpetual system from parent to child. That child becomes a parent, then passes on those same traits and values to their. And then here we see our Cayman product deteriorated right in front of our eyes, and then we cry to government. It's really sad. It's this revolving door that people are, I call it a hamster wheel. You're on this hamster wheel and you don't know what you're doing. You continue to repeat the same errors, and then you expect government to fix your problems. Here's another thing. Every child, no matter how difficult the financial situation is in a family, they're able to buy a smartphone, and every child has a smartphone. What they watch, the games they play, everything is circled around sexuality and violence. Drugs, sexuality, and violence. Listen, these things imprint a mold on a child's mind. And the Bible says that what a man beholds or what a man studies, that shall he become. And so you constantly listen to certain videos where women are degraded as just sex objects. Or are you looking at certain games or part the men are shooting and goring other men? That is what you will become. If you look at our children or young people driving their cars, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, listen to the music, listen to the violence. And if you should dare look at them, they are almost what it looks like a recliner chair in the car. I don't know how they see where they're going. But if you should dare switch that song to a gospel song, they will wake up in an instant. Why? Because they're being transformed by what they're listening to. So parents, you have got to look at yourselves. What am I doing? Maybe we've made some mistakes in our lives. We were on drugs or we were on something else, right? But that is no reason to say, well, that's how I grew up. That's how my parents grew up, and that's what I am. It's a poor excuse because your child will soon be in Northwood or Fairbanks or, God forbid, in the graveyard because you did nothing. You need to take responsibility for your child's outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Sanitize your home. What are they watching? What are you watching? What are you listening to?
Mm-hmm.
What are you eating and drinking? You are the children's model.
Mm-hmm.
They will model what they see. And if you're a parent who loves your child, by the way, let me make this correction. I heard it earlier. Spare not the rod and spoil the child. Beloved, listen. Too many of us don't understand what that means. We take to, especially in the West Indies here, in the Caribbean here, we take that to mean violence.
Mm-hmm.
God forbid. Don't you dare strike a child with a switch, a belt, a rod, or anything.
Mm-hmm.
That must not be your go-to solution. And if you go there, it's because you have no answers. You're frustrated and don't know what to do.
Yep.
You must know what to do as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
You love your child. You be patient with your child. You guide your child.
Mm-hmm.
You long suffer and sacrifice for your child and show them the outcomes of dealing with difficult problems.
Mm-hmm.
You are their model, not the premier, not the police officers, not the prison officers, not the morgue. You are the child's model.
Mm-hmm.
You love that child. You serve that child. Don't spoil the child either. That's a sin, by the way. But you love the child and you sacrifice for the child. Keep that child out of harm's way by sanitizing your home, your environment. People who come there and cussing and drinking and smoking, friend, leave. Please leave. If you need to see me, I'll call you or you call me. But don't bring that environment, that toxic environment to your home because you're polluting your children. And so when the children go to school, they're taking with them what they are taught from home. So please research the Yolanda Ford report and please read it from cover to cover. It will only be a blessing to you if you not I'm not talking to you, Sandy. I'm talking to the audience.
Yep.
It will only be a blessing.
We've shared it multiple times on this.
If you study that.
Yeah, we've shared it and talked about it multiple times on this program, but it's just not sinking in.
They have to read it because we parents are the problem. We are. Take responsibility and don't blame your neighbors or the teachers. Yeah, listen, these children will go to schools where teachers themselves got their own personal problems. And they're bringing their personal problems to work, which happens to be the school. So them it's a job to the children in school.
Yep.
So children themselves need to know how to navigate around troubled adults, which can be teachers. So conflict resolution, how to de-escalate tensions. Children need to learn these things. It's not something you can show them on TV. It is taught by parents. So I didn't want me to call a second time, but I thought of the Yolanda Ford report, and I thought I would lend that to you to help to remind others to look it up, read it. It will only be a blessing to you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Greg says the problem is in Cayman. People think that their children are such angels and they don't know what they be doing behind their back. These children are also doing what they see their family members do at home. Stop acting like your children are innocent. Watch them spy on them, look through their phones, and you will see what they're really doing. Like I said earlier, Greg, no child should have a phone that you're not getting a duplication of every single thing that's on their phone. That's the kind of monitoring you need to have with these young people. Erica says, enforce martial law at John Gray High School, put officers in the Cayman Islands Regiment at work full-time to maintain strict law and order amongst these children. Exactly what I said earlier. I didn't mention the regiment, but that's actually a great idea. I think that should have been the response this morning. They're talking about taking, decisive action, but we can't hear any details and exactly what that action is. So I'm going to email the so-called administrators at John Gray, and I'm going to ask them, you talk about you've taken corrective action, decisive action, swift and this and that. What exactly have you done? What have you done? Inquiring minds want to know. What have